been raised for the Dogs' Home in Manchester, where more than 50 animals were killed in an arson attack on Thursday night. The Just Giving page has now received donations from more than 120,000 people. It was set up by a journalist at the Manchester Evening News, Beth Ashton, who used Twitter to publicise it.
Minutes after we tweeted out the original campaign, Ricky Gervais had retweeted it to his 6 million followers, which was a real kickstarter to it, and it just went from there. It's been amazing. Everyone knows what it's like to lose a pet that they love. I think that's really captured the imagination of the public.
Meanwhile, a 15-year-old boy who was arrested on suspicion of arson has been bailed by the police pending further inquiries. Oldbury is being renamed Goldbury for the day in honour of double gold triathlete Jodie Stimpson. Jodie won gold in the individual and team events at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. And there's a civic reception today in her hometown. Her father, Iain, told Molly Green this morning on BBC WM that Jodie will be overwhelmed.
Yeah, she is a very bubbly person anyway, and very emotional, which I dare say she gets from her mum. But it's giving Jodie a chance as well to thank people that have supported her as well.
And the weather fine and dry with some warm sunshine today and a light breeze. The top temperature 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. Dry this evening but with the chance of some light rain overnight and a minimum temperature of 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, rather cloudy but brightening up in the afternoon, feeling cool in the increasing breeze. And a top temperature tomorrow afternoon of 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. And the outlook for the following few days, cloudy with scattered showers. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Thanks, Nicole, or rather no thanks. We've got the show kind of planned as to what we're going to do, and then I could just talk about everything that was in Nicole's bulletin there. I could talk about everything, and I'm sure you would like to as well. There was the David Haynes hostage situation. There was the Dogs' Home story that's still going on and is seeming to gain its own momentum. Maybe we will talk about those in a little bit. First off, though, can you name me any outwardly gay footballers? No, of course you can't. Why don't gay footballers come out? 03453 00 9956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Can I tell you, we'll get to the gay footballers in a second. I know Terry's on the line already. Terry's keen to talk about that. It's a big campaign today to encourage footballers to support, gay footballers and get rid of homophobia in football. We'll talk about that in a second. The two stories that Nicole mentioned that you might want to have your say on. First off was this David Haynes hostage situation. Being held hostage by ISIS, ISIL, IS, whatever they're called these days. They're threatening to kill him because of the American airstrikes. Well, they were threatening to kill him before that. And weren't they asking for £1 million or $1 million? Let's say £1 million. It's almost irrelevant, the figure, when you start getting into millions, isn't it? Because it's so fantastical. They would release him for £1 million ransom. And they've all come out, Nick Clegg, David Cameron and Ed Miliband have all come out and said, no, not going to pay it. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Am I the only person that thinks we should pay that ransom? Am I really the only person? I know it sets a precedent. The argument is it could potentially put other people's lives at risk. But I'm looking at a picture of David Haynes right now. I'm looking into his eyes. Right? How can anyone say he's not worth £1 million? How can anyone say that? And what if it was your dad or your brother or your son or your mum or you'd want them to pay that money? Now, you can phone in on this. Literally, this has just come to my head, so it's not thought out properly. You can help me think it and shape it. 03453 00 9956. If your initial reaction is to say, no, we shouldn't deal with terrorists, we shouldn't pay a ransom, OK, Imagine that isn't David Haynes, and I'm going to keep saying his name because I think it makes it a little bit more realistic. Imagine it isn't David Haynes. Imagine that's your dad or your son or your sister. You'd pay the £1 million then, wouldn't you? You'd be doing everything you could to get the £1 million, wouldn't you? Of course you would. 03453 00 9956. We'll put that out, OK? Another thing. We'll start the show properly in a second, producer Joe, sorry. Another thing that Nicole was talking about there was this dog's home. Now, I've literally only just seen the papers. It's on the front page of most of the papers. The Sun, give a dog a home, appeal to Sun readers. Enzo, Buster, Polly, Eva, Hamish, Elsie, Jemima, Trixie, Snowy. Here we go, and I'm going to tie these two cleverly together. £1.2 million has been raised in about a little over 24 hours after this dog's home in Manchester was burnt down. We talked about it on the show yesterday. It was horrific. About 50-odd dogs died, right? £1.2 million has been raised. There's a ransom for a guy in Iraq that's £1 million. Have we got our priorities completely upside down? Helen's in Stafford. Morning, Helen.
Thank you. You just totally done my thunder.
Oh, I do apologise. I was literally just thinking aloud, Helen. I didn't know you were going to say that. Go on. We can discuss it together.
I haven't put a penny towards the dog's home. But we can raise £1 million for a dog's home. That, I said to you yesterday, was insured.
Yep.
And we can't put that money to save a man's life.
And I'm literally just thinking out loud, and this is coming to... it's so funny you've picked up on this, because this is coming to me as I'm sat here. We weren't even going to talk about this. It does seem completely crazy, doesn't it? This fella, this David Haynes, I'm going to keep saying his name, David Haynes is going to have his head... He's going to be beheaded, and it's going to be filmed, and it's going to be circulated around the internet. 50 dogs burned to death, which is horrible.
Which is awful, which is terribly sad, terribly sad. But this man needs to be saved. Do you want that put on the internet? And, you know, they've put the burning of the dog's home on the internet, and all the papers do it. But this is a human being. This is a man who's gone out there to work. This is someone we need to save. Yes, £1 million, absolutely. And if it was my husband, if it was my father, if it was my son, my daughter, my auntie, my granny, I would scrimp, I would find anybody to raise that money. But a dog's home has burnt down, and in 2 days, £1 million has been raised.
Helen, let me just put to you the arguments I have heard other people putting. Okay, if you pay a ransom for David Haynes to ISIL, whatever. Let's say they're called ISIL. Let's focus on that. If you pay £1 million to them, they're then going to see Britain as a cash cow, and they're going to be looking for British passports, aren't they? That's going to put lives at risk.
Yes, it is. But on the other side of it, a human person is actually more important than dogs. And I do apologise to Molly when I heard her saying it this morning. But I do believe, and I know what the government are trying to say. We do not do ransoms. But can the government, and any government, it doesn't matter which government is in there, can they actually? They have blood on their hands, and the IS, I think it's the IS, isn't it? They have blood on their hands. This is going to escalate so much that we don't even know what's going on there.
Helen, I appreciate your thoughts. I'm sorry if I stole your thunder. We're obviously kind of thinking along the same lines. This wasn't going to be the show. But just listening to Nicole doing the news, those two stories have kind of hit a chord, struck a nerve. And I'm thinking out loud. My thoughts aren't quite fully formed on this, so I need your help. 03453 00 9956. A dog home burns down. And there will be people who are not hearing what I'm saying. I'm not in any way demeaning it. I'm not in any way saying, tough. It's really sad and it's really horrible. But dog's home's burnt down. They've raised £1.2 million. David Haynes is in Iraq. He's going to be beheaded. They want £1 million. Of course we should pay that money. Of course we should pay that money. 03453 00 9956. Ryan's in Solihull. Morning, Ryan.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm confused as to where our priorities lie as a nation and as a human race. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can understand everyone's feelings in terms of, pay that £1 million ransom if that was my mum, my dad, probably even my dog. I'd want to give that money. But where do you draw the line? If you give £1 million to this person, they'll want $2 million for the next person and $3 million for the next person. So then you're almost encouraging them to say, you will be rewarded and paid that money if you kidnap people and threaten their lives. So where do you draw the line?
Well, where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line when it's your mum that's been rescued? Do you say we won't do it after that? Or do you let your mum die?
Exactly, and it's a nasty situation. If it was my mum, who I'm taking to Blackpool today, so I'm sure she'd want me to rescue her, would want the line drawn there. But where do you do it? I mean, it's a tough, and it would become more of a personal problem if it was your brother, your sister, or like you say, anyone in your family. But where do you draw the line?
I think right. He's David Haynes, and I don't know very much about this gentleman. And do you know what? Throughout the next hour or so, we're all going to learn a lot more about David Haynes, because I think it's important that we know who he is and what he is. So while my slow BBC computer is booting up, we need to rescue this fella. He's a British citizen. He's one of ours. Imagine you're in that situation, okay, and you are terrified, and you know you're going to be murdered, and it's going to be humiliating. The British government should, without a moment's hesitation, should go and pay that money somewhere.
I have to disagree. I think they have to take alternative action, because if you pay, I understand what you're saying. It's a person.
Mate, it's your dad. It's your dad there.
Absolutely. You know what? I'd want that money paying, but in the long run, where do you draw the line? How can you do that? If you're virtually encouraging them to kidnap people and to say, okay, every time you do, well, it's you can say no, but then every journalists from America or England that they kidnap, they think, well, you paid £1 million last time, paid $1 million, and then you get 100 kidnappings a year. That's £100 million a year. Where do you draw the line?
Well, you draw the line by you tell people, get out of there, you go and pay the money, and while you're paying the money, you send in, I don't know, the SAS or whatever, to go and infiltrate ISIS and get them from within.
Yeah, well, you need to fight that problem in other ways as well, but as soon as you're out of that part of the world, there'll be somewhere else in the world where anyone could be kidnapped. People could be... I mean, when things happen in this country, you could be kidnapped in this country, so if you reward the kidnappers, okay, you're basically saying then, okay, we'll pay every time you kidnap someone. Yes, it's someone's mum or dad, and if it was my mum or dad, I want them to pay the money. But where do you draw the line on this?
He's got 2 daughters.
You know what?
One is 4 and one is 17.
Yeah, I would want it if it was my dad. But if you do that for one person, every single person that's been kidnapped and beheaded has got a family, and they'll all have named people are with them as well. But you have to be strong in this situation, because if you're in charge and you pay this person this week,
Ryan, that's a cold game of chess. That's a cold game of chess you're playing.
Yeah, but you know what? It is someone, and I'd want that person rescuing, and I really would. But what do you do? You cannot give in to these people. Every time you pay, that means they're going to take someone else and pay again, and next time it'll be $2 million. Well, you paid last time, let's pay again.
Ryan, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you. You can hear my thoughts aren't quite thought out on this, but I do just think he's an aid worker. David Haynes, he's got 2 daughters. One's 17, one's 4. He's an aid worker. He's from Scotland. It's a real person. It's a real person. It would cost £1 million to save him. We've raised £1.2 million for the dog's home. I don't know. I just don't know. By the way, I was trying to find out a little light relief. To my shame, I didn't know much about David Haynes. We'll learn about him during the next hour or so. The computer I'm working on, very, very slow. So I messaged producer Joe, who is he? A journalist or an aid worker? She replied on the screen, neither, he's a caller. She was talking about Ryan. 03453 009956. Right, it's 9:15. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz Saul.
Thank you very much, Iain. Good morning. It's looking a bit problematic as you head into Birmingham. The slip road on the A38 Aston Road has been shut. It's because of ongoing bridge inspection works going on. Aston Bridge itself at Dartmouth Circus is also closed. It was damaged in an accident yesterday. A lorry went into the bridge, and so they're still carrying out structural inspections and that sort of thing. It means queues as you head into Birmingham because of the closure of the exit slip road there just by the Park Circus and Dartmouth Circus, so an awful lot of congestion. The A456, as you head around the Hagley Road roundabout, and Hell's Owen is looking a little bit busy. Into Birmingham towards Five Ways Island isn't too bad so far this morning. There's quite a few events going on in the centre of Birmingham, not least the zombie run around Century Square. So there's going to be various restrictions and extra traffic in the city centre as that gets underway a little later on this morning. And on public transport, delays of about 15 minutes on trains through Birmingham. It's because of a train which broke down earlier at Birmingham International. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Ryman now, it's Bonlahor, the turn and scores! Gabby and Bonlahor.
Friend or foe will share this dream. Let rivalries return. Get behind your team.
And he scores! West Bromwich Albion go through.
You always need someone to share every moment.
Sacco! It's 3-1. Dicko and Sacco celebrating in front of thousands of friends in the South Bank.
We'll be there till the season's end. Your club is our club.
Thomas! Where's Thomas for Birmingham City?
The goal horn awaits, my football friend.
The station for commentary this season.
BBC WM
95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee. BBC WM 95.6, and the show has been turned upside down. It's like we've got a drawer full of bits and pieces. We pulled it out and we've put it all on the floor, and we've still not quite found what we're looking for. There's a U2 lyric. We will be talking about gay footballers. Big campaign by Stonewall today to try and end homophobia in football. We will get to that. It's a big story, and I think it's definitely worth talking about. But I was struck by Nicole Pullman reading the news at night, as I always am, and two stories kind of stood out to me. And very cleverly, with your help, we've sort of managed to tie them together. They kind of work together. The first story, the story you will know more about, probably, it's on the front page of the papers. Give a dog a home. There was a fire at a Manchester dogs' home yesterday. 50-odd dogs died. Horrible, horrible. Arson. Horrible. Terrible. Not demeaning it at all. They've raised over £1.2 million so far in a couple of days. Wow. We talked yesterday on the show. We do a show on Fridays now, 2 till 4. We talked yesterday about why have we got our priorities right. We didn't really have anything to pin it on, anything solid to pin it on. We have today. We got the story of David Haynes. He is father of two daughters, 17 and 4. He's been held prisoner in Iraq by ISIS. And they have threatened to behead him unless America stop their airstrikes. Well, they've been threatening to behead him for a while, so it's not really that. They've also asked for £1 million ransom. British government, as you know, will not pay it. They've all been out saying, no, we don't deal with terrorists. I think that's wrong. I think we have to pay that £1 million and get him back. Go and Google him. Go and Google David Haynes and look in his eyes, and you tell me he's not worth £1 million. And if you still think he's not worth £1 million, imagine that's your dad or your son or your mum. You would do everything you can to get that person back, to pay that money. Italy paid. Oh, yeah, did you not know? There was an Italian hostage. He's been freed. Now, Italy will not come out and say they've paid a ransom, but, come on, seems a coincidence, doesn't it? 03453 009956. We raised £1.2 million for a dog's home in a couple of days. There's a British fella who's going to be beheaded, and we won't pay £1 million. Have we got our priorities completely wrong? Robert's on the line. Morning, Robert.
Oh, morning, Lee. On about this fella, if the government won't pay it, why should the taxpayers pay? Because we're paying the government to run the country. Right? And if people want to give to dogs home, what's it to do with you or anybody?
I think we've got our priorities wrong. What's more important to you, Robert? Some dogs or a man's life?
Well, they're both the same. But, I mean, if people want to give to a dog's home, I think it's about the same. If people
a dog's life is worth the same as a man's life?
Yeah.
Wow. How do you argue that?
Well, some people can't have children, right? So they have animals, and they treat them like children.
Yeah.
Right. Well.
And using that logic, you think a man is worth the same as a dog?
Well, I suppose so, yeah, but they're saying the government have had big pay rises. Why should you expect the taxpayers back? If they want to pay it, let the government pay it out their money, not think we pay
Well, hang on a minute. Right, hang on a minute. The government haven't had a big pay rise. The government haven't... No,
they've had a 10% rise.
No, they
listen.
No,
They
if
have.
you listen... Robert,
They had a
if
10...
you...
Listen, no, you listen. They had a 10% rise, and I'm getting
Listening to you
74,000.
spout rubbish. Robert,
It was on your station some weeks ago.
Robert, they haven't had a pay rise.
They have.
It's being...
You tune back a couple of weeks on WM, and you'll find out they had a 9% rise, and they're going to get 74,000 a year.
Robert, can I correct you? Are you going to listen to me?
Yeah, but it was on your station
Robert,
anyway.
they have not...
Listening up.
Well, you've obviously... Robert, you need new batteries in your wireless. They have not had a pay rise. It's being discussed...
They've had a pay rise. Check.
Thanks very much for calling, Robert. Bye-bye. 03453 009956. Can I tell you? You know they've not had a pay rise of about just under 10%. It's being discussed. It has not happened yet. If it happens, I think it's going to happen in 2016. Have I got that right? So the government have not had a pay rise. Let's just put that to rest. And why should they pay it out of their pay rise? How can you... £1 million, right, to you and me, it's a lot of money. In the great scheme of things, it's nothing. Okay, in the great scheme of things, it's nothing. But... Anyway, I'm slightly confused by Robert there. 03453 009956. John's in Kings Norton. Good morning, John.
Morning.
John, are we going to have a conversation, or are you going to shout at me?
No, I'm not going to shout, but...
Good lad, what have you got?
Paying the money, you think how many bombs and bullets £1 million can get. And what all you're doing, giving them the money, is allowing them to go and buy more bombs to blow up all our troops. So, really, you're gaining nothing, because all you're doing is giving them... You might as well give them the ammunition as the money. I mean,
we haven't got any troops over there, have we?
Give them money like that.
We don't have any troops over there.
We've got people over there. We've got British people over there, remember?
But no, have we got British troops over there? I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Well...
I thought we'd all pulled out.
By the time they've spent the money on the bombs and bombed out our areas, we'll have some British troops over there trying to find them and trying to find out where they get the money from. And everybody will say, it's because we give them up the money to free that... well, he's a newspaper chap, isn't he, originally?
Well, he's an aid worker.
Yeah.
He's over there helping people. And that's the argument, John. That's the one that I struggle with on an intellectual level, is that by giving them their money, we're funding their activities. But on an emotional level, just think if that... I don't know if you've got kids, John, but if that was your son... Imagine if that was your son.
Well, I'm afraid I'd take the attitude, well, you could have... With the money that you're passing over to get my son back, 20 people could get blown up with the bombs that were made from the £1 million.
John, what's your boy's name?
So, therefore, if that was the sort of situation, I'd have to say, I'm ever so sorry, son, but I'm afraid I can't do anything, because I'm just going to put other people's lives at risk because of handing the money over. And that wouldn't be a good thing at all.
I couldn't do that to my boy. I could not do that to my boy.
I bet you would, though. You do.
No,
the right
mate.
thing.
No, I couldn't do that. If my boy was over there, several years' time when he's older, well, whatever. If he was over there and he was being publicly humiliated and would be terrified and would be treated appallingly, and they're going to behead him, I would do everything I could to pay that £1 million and stuff the consequences. I'd want my boy back. I would do anything to get him back. I'd offer to swap, and I'd certainly try and get that £1 million.
So if you got the £1 million and 20 people got blown up with a bomb that was in a big tower, then you'd be quite happy with that, would you? Because
wouldn't be happy with it.
Oh, well, this was the £1 million that we got off letting that lad go.
Right, well, I wouldn't be happy with it, and also that's not really how It's not really how terrorism and war works, is it? They're not going to say, by the way, this bomb that we set off in that marketplace, Iain Lee paid for that, so we want to say a big thank you to him. That's not, you don't get your name on a plaque.
Telling us that. knowing the situation with them, they'd almost enjoy telling us that.
The Italians have almost definitely paid a ransom.
The Italians will pay up for anything.
Thank you very much indeed. There we go. 03453 009956 is the phone number. You can email ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. And John has come up with, I think, the only argument I struggle with intellectually. Emotionally, I can see a way around it. Intellectually, I can't. You give them £1 million, they're probably going to use it to buy weapons. Or at least a proportion of it. So that is the thing that I struggle to get my intellectual head around. I might need a bit of help on this one. Not often I ask for that. Can anyone help me with this argument? We give them £1 million, they're going to buy weapons with it. What is the argument against that? We'll get there. 03453 009956. Scott's in Wolverhampton. Morning, Scott.
Morning, mate. You're all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. My brain is being worked this morning, and I like it when that happens. What would you like to say?
I'd just say I'd pay it. I'd pay it because at the end of the day, if it was my son or daughter over there, I'd want them home.
You heard what John said. I wish we still had John, but never mind. You heard what John said there. He would tell his son, sorry, son, it's not worth it.
No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, I'm afraid.
Well, then help me with this argument, Scott, that John was putting forward, and this is the one that I'm struggling to get my head around. That they would spend that money, that £1 million, on weapons and guns and bombs and stuff like that. And more people could potentially die as a result of the selfish action of you rescuing your son.
Thing is, in the day, you rescue your son back, your son comes home, you've paid the money, your son's home safe. It's down to the government then to make sure that we don't have, they don't buy weapons. That's down to them.
How are they going to do that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, when I was in the army, you know, we just followed rules and regulations, but it's just down to the government to sort out. I mean, they're the ones that deals with the 9/11 in America and things like that. You know, and deals with terrorists, so they know.
And boy, oh boy, didn't they handle those situations well?
Well, exactly, you know. But we've been learning from mistakes in the past, so hopefully, you know, we might be a lot more switched on about it now.
It's such a tough one, and there is no real right or wrong answer. But you're saying once Scott in Wolverhampton has paid the £1 million and got his boy back, that's it. It's then not your responsibility what they do with your money.
No. End of the day, as long as I got my kid home, to be honest, you know, yeah, if something happens, but it's your blood and flesh blood at the end of the day, isn't it?
Scott, just going back to this story, the dog story, the dog's home story, we touched on it on the show yesterday. We more than touched on it. We talked about it for an hour or so. Have we got our priorities in this country wrong, where we can raise £1.2 million for a dog's home in just under 2 days, but yet we leave a fella in the desert to be beheaded?
It's a strange one because I donated to the dogs charity as well, plus my girlfriend did as well. Because at the end of the day, we love our pets. You know, what happened to the dogs was cruel and a nasty action of another person. You know, and at the end of the day, we just want to help them, but it's a tricky one at the end of the day, isn't it? You know.
What are you hoping? What are you hoping your money that you donated is going to do? Because I'm assuming that, as we said yesterday, that their building is insured. So the building will be rebuilt out of the insurance claim. So what are you hoping that money is going to achieve?
Well, at the end of the day, you know, when you insure something, you don't get the money straight away. You know, you have to wait for it anyway.
Yeah.
So hopefully the money that we donated will help them, you know, to start building ready for when the insurance comes through, and then obviously the money they got left over is going to help them for the next couple of years to get straight again.
Scott, thank you for your thoughts this morning. 03453 009956. Just as a side issue, if you donated to the dog's home yesterday, what are you hoping your money will achieve? And again, there'll be people not hearing what I'm saying. I'm not in any way knocking what happened. It's a horrible, horrible thing that happened, OK? But they would have been insured. So the building will be rebuilt, or they'll be rehoused, or, you know, they will get property. So what's that £1.2 million going to do? If you gave money, let's put this directly to you, if you gave money for the dog's home in Manchester, Why? And what do you hope that money's going to do? 03453 009956. It's horrible and it's terrible. I just don't know what they're going to do with that money. Really. I'm sure it'll be useful. I'm sure they'll do something with it. I just don't know what that would be. If you could explain that to me, please, do give us a call. Andy's in Hales Owen. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Ian.
What you got for us?
Well, I agree with that. She sounded a very nice lady, one of your very early callers, regarding a man's life is more important than what a dog's life is. I'm fully behind you. I mean, obviously, people love the pets, of course they do. But how can you put values on a dog's life against a man or a lady's life? You can't do that.
It is tricky. Listen, I'm a pet man. I've got a cat. I love my cat. She's been with me for 13 years. I've known her longer than my wife and certainly my children. I love her. And if she was ill, I would spend a fortune trying to save her. If I had to choose between my cat and a random stranger in the street, I would choose the random stranger every time. Of course, if someone's got a gun and said, right, we're going to shoot your cat or we're going to shoot this bloke called Steve you've never met, well, I would say save Steve every single time.
Well, that's right, Ian, but my argument is this government and obviously previous governments, they don't put the hand in the pockets for charity work, helicopters and lifeboats, that sort of thing. But then quick enough, what I'm trying to say is then quick enough sending our lads over there, Iraq, Afghanistan, right, some getting killed off, and badly maimed, yet they can't put a ransom on a man's life, £1 million, yet they're quick enough saving that money regarding all them dogs, and obviously it's a tragedy, don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but they're quick enough getting that money for animals, and they can't put the money together to save this man's life.
Andy, I appreciate you...
Sorry?
Go on.
It's just to show what type of government we have. You've just mentioned about the Italian government paying theirs. I didn't know about that. You just had a man saying, well, they'd pay for anything. I don't think that's right. I don't think they would do that. But, you have to get your values... right. I just think it's an absolutely shocking situation to be in. And I'm fully behind you, and I really am this time. Not normally I am, but with this time I really am, because you can't put values regarding a dog's life against a human. You just can't do that.
Andy, I appreciate your thoughts on this. Thank you. Just, of course, to clarify, the £1.2 million, it'll be more than that, it'll be £2 million by the end of the weekend, has come from the public, not the government, towards the dog's home. Your thoughts, please. We had one caller who said that a dog's life was equal to that of a human's life. Really? 03453 009956.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Odd show today. We weren't going to talk about any of this. And as I say, Nicole did a cracking bulletin at 9 o'clock, and I was struck by everything in it. And so we've gone off on this tangent. One of the tangents is David Haines, the family of the British hostage, David Haines, who's being held by Islamic State militants, have appealed to his captors to make contact with them. A statement from the family of David Haines said the militants had not replied to previous messages. Well, Mr Haines, who's 44 and from Perth, was kidnapped last year while helping to deliver humanitarian aid to Syria. Joined now by Professor Michael Clark. He's an advisor to the House of Commons Defence Committee. Good morning, Professor. Thanks very much for joining us at short notice.
That's okay.
What was interesting, I thought, was that the family said the militants had not replied to previous messages. How would they be sending messages to those militants?
They can just make public statements, because anything that appears in the paper or in the press, you can guarantee the ISIS people pick up. They read and follow everything that we do. They know a great deal about us, much more about us than we know about them. So it's easy to communicate in that respect. But it is also possible, and I don't know how this may have worked, but it is also possible that they could have sent a message through the Foreign Office via third parties, because most kidnappers, whether they're terrorists or just criminals, they try to keep open avenues because, of course, they're looking for a deal. So there's always middlemen who are available to take messages back and forth. So whether they did it in that way or just made as a statement released through the Foreign Office, it would be up to them, really, how to try to do it.
I'm so naive, Michael. I just assumed this is all kind of being conducted via the medium of YouTube and Twitter. You're saying that there is a strong possibility that someone in the government is actually speaking... What, would have a phone number for these the kidnappers?
No, what happens is that people in the Foreign Office, there is a unit in the Foreign Office that deals with hostages, and they know who... I mean, very often these people exist in the Gulf, in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi or Qatar, and they will know people in those sorts of places who will be able to make contact. And the contact will go through 3 or 4 different hands, because obviously if you had direct lines to the kidnappers, then you'd know where they were and you'd do something about it. So these things are fairly remote. But there are ways, because kidnappers, as I say, always want to keep lines open because they're looking for a deal.
You can understand, can't you, the family's concern, obviously the concern, but the fact that they would quite happily have that £1 million paid over.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And money, I mean, I understand what your previous caller was saying, you know, £1 million for dogs and £1 million for people. I mean, £1 million for the government is neither here nor there. It's not the amount of money, it's the principle of paying money. Because what the British and the Americans have always said is that we do not reward hostage-taking. Not because we worry, you know, we don't care about hostages, but because if you pay people, it's Danegeld. It just gets worse. More people will be taken hostage. And it is the case, you know, you can do the statistics if you want, that if you look at the last 20 or 30 years, the countries that pay money have more of their people taken as hostages, because the hostage taker's not stupid. They know that if they grab people of certain nationalities, they're more likely to get the money.
Who buckles? What countries pay?
We don't pay. But all governments, because these cases raise difficult political issues, I mean, this is a hot potato for Downing Street. So, of course, they may not pay hostage money, but they do sometimes, through back channels of the sort we talked about, make clear that they say, look, if you're flexible about this, well, we might be flexible about, in 3 or 4 months' time, releasing people from custody. We might be flexible about the view we take on something. Oh. So there are sometimes series of tacit deals. They're never immediate. They're never announced. But sometimes they say, if you make a gesture by releasing X and Y, wait for 3 months and we will make a gesture. So that's sometimes a deal that can be done.
Who does pay, Michael? Which countries do pay ransoms? Do we know?
Well, Italy is famous for paying. France says that they don't pay, but actually they do. Spain pays, and a lot of South American countries where hostage-taking is rife. A lot of families pay, of course, because they're very rich families, and there's a real problem. And sometimes the governments pay, or they help the families to pay when certain people are taken. I mean, by and large, I don't know if anyone's done any research across the globe on this, but by and large, I think more countries pay than don't. But of course, the people the hostages that are the most sensitive are normally American or Canadian or British or German, because those are the countries that are regarded as very high-value hostages, and if you can do a deal for an American hostage or a British hostage, that actually is a huge political win for the terrorists.
I guess the two main arguments we've heard this morning for not paying the ransom is, one, it puts more lives in danger, and two, they're going to spend that money on weapons. Are there any other arguments against it?
Well, there's the straight argument of principle that you're not just that it puts more lives in danger, but you're breaking down the rules of international politics. I mean, we in Britain in particular, we depend on the rules of international politics. We're a trading nation. We do very well out of the global world. We're good as a global player. You know, we're a lot better than we think we are, actually. You know, we're 1% of the world's population, but we're 4.5% of world trade. We're 7% of global investment. We're about 15% of creative industries. We punch well above our weight in the world politics. But we can only do all of that because the world is basically ordered. It is, basically the rules matter. Now, those rules are under pressure. They are breaking down, and for the last 20 years they've been under pressure. So there's a sort of a principle argument which says if we connive in breaking the rules, we're going to make our lives much harder for ourselves in the long run. You know, we depend on this world because we helped to create it. Now other people are running the world that we created on our rules. They're operating the rules we created 100 or so years ago, and they're not operating them terribly well. So if we are seen to break the rules, we'll start to live in the jungle ourselves.
See, if David Haynes was my son or my brother, and the government said, yeah, well, we're not going to pay the ransom because it goes against the rules, I'd be a bit peed off.
It's a very hard message. I absolutely agree. I mean, this is the clash of public policy and private grief. It's a very hard message for people to hear. A very hard message.
Well, it's heart versus head, isn't it?
Not all families do say that. I mean, there are families, American families of people who are taken hostage, who say no, the government must not pay. We've got to live with this.
Gosh. Michael, final question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want. If that was your boy out there, or your brother, or someone related to you, would you want the money paid?
Yeah, I mean, if it was somebody connected to me, of course I'd be working on all of the avenues I could think of as an individual to find out more, and I would do exactly as the Haynes family did, say, try and communicate with hostage takers, try to at least open a line to try to get some humanity into the conversation. But in doing that, I would also not expect the government to support me, because they have one interest and I, because it was my brother, have another. And that's the reality of it, I'm afraid.
Fascinating conversation. Thank you so much. I know producer Joe got in touch with at very short notice. Professor Michael Clark, an advisor to the House of Commons Defence Committee. Wasn't he good? Boy, I learnt a lot from those last 7 minutes. Did you? I didn't know that the government were doing... I'm so naive. I didn't know the government could be on the phone to, a fourth, fifth, sixth party saying, yeah, right, we're not going to pay the money, but if you let that fella go, in 4 months' time, we might let one of your guys go, wink, wink. Know what I'm saying? He was great, Joe. Well done. What a great guest. Brilliant. 03453 009956. And do you know, it's interesting, he said there are some American families who would say, no, don't pay the ransom. Just let it happen. American families. I wonder if there are any British families who would do the same. I don't think so, because the American, they salute the flag every morning in their school classrooms. That's a kind of brainwashing, isn't it? An indoctrination. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call. You can also send me an email as well. Iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. And should you wish, you can send me a text, 81333. Start your text, WM. And, yes, we'll get that. Raz is in Solihull. Morning, Raz.
Morning.
Raz, listen, because I want to give you a fair crack of the whip. Can you wait a couple of minutes until the other side of the travel? Is that OK?
Yeah, sure, no worries.
I want to make sure you get your say. Raz, stay there. I've got a text from Steve in Wolverhampton. What if the ransom money you paid went to recruit and train those terrorists that flew the planes into the Twin Towers? Your son lives, but thousands of innocent people die because you paid it. That could happen here too on British soil. Suicide bombers funded by your payment of a ransom. And there's the... I don't want to reduce it, but OK, let's reduce it to a common language. There's the pub question. There's the question you ask in a pub. Right, I want to play a game. Your son's being held hostage. They want £1 million, but that £1 million is going to fund the training of terrorists. Would you pay it? Oh, man. What a tough question. Right, it's coming up to 9:45. If you want to have a go at answering it, 03453 009956. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you make your way in and out of Birmingham, you'll find that the slip road at Park Circus, Dartmouth Circus, going into the city centre is looking much better. It has reopened, but traffic's still queuing a little bit in the area, though the traffic is starting to ease off. It looks like Aston Bridge, though, is still closed at the Aston Road junction nearby. The A5127 inspection work continues on the bridge this morning. It's all because of an accident yesterday where a lorry hit the bridge, so that's the reason why there's been ongoing inspections and restrictions this morning. It's not looking too bad now on the A456 as you head around Halesowen, the Hagley Road roundabout, and going into Birmingham on the A456 through Quinton. That's all looking okay and no problems to report there either. Motorways are behaving themselves so far this morning. No problems along the M42 passing junction 6 around the NEC and the Birmingham Airport turn. Still possible disruption on some services between Birmingham New Street and Oxford in particular. This is now because of a signalling problem in the Leamington area. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
The BBC asks thousands of questions every day. Why are we being overrun by rats? What are the tingles we feel when listening to music? Can life exist above the clouds? But what if we want to know more? BBC I Wonder asks intriguing questions and reveals thought-provoking answers. As one question is answered, another is raised. The discoveries are endless. BBC I Wonder. Go to bbc.co.uk/I Wonder.
Today's show really is. It's kind of the planning is. You're hearing the planning as it's unfolding. We will be talking about gay footballers and a big campaign by Stonewall to encourage. Reduce homophobia, not encourage it. That would be what a strange campaign that would be. We'll be talking about that after 10. Don't worry, that's coming. The show has kind of gone off on a tangent thanks to Nicole at 9 o'clock, the news, where we heard about this dog's home in Manchester, where £1.2 million has been raised for a dog's home that was burnt down, and also the family of David Haines, who is a British hostage in Iraq, or Syria, probably in Iraq now, with ISIL. They're desperate to save his life. They're desperate to save his life. ISIL have come out and said, if America don't stop bombing, we are going to behead this fella. Well, they've been saying they're going to behead him for a while, so I suspect it won't be the American bombs that cause it. They've also asked for a ransom of £1 million. I think we should pay it. The arguments against paying it are good. It's might fund terrorism. Wasn't quite so convinced with it goes against the rules of international politics. I don't buy that one so much. It might put more lives in danger. But what price a human life? What price is David Haines' life worth? 03453 009956. Raz, you stayed on. What have you got for us?
Hello. The point I was going to make is that the dogs didn't choose to make themselves homeless, whereas the aid workers and I think anyone who goes into a conflict situation is very selfish. And I say that with a heavy heart.
You think David Haines was selfish for trying to help people in Syria? Why?
If you knowingly go into a conflict situation and you do get kidnapped, then other people have to put their lives at risk in order to rescue you. And usually what happens is soldiers go in and they might get hurt or killed. And I honestly think you cannot compare dog charity donations to a ransom demand. It's simply not the same thing.
He was captured in early 2013 from a refugee camp in northern Syria, close to the Turkish border. He's got two daughters, 4 and 17, and he spent the last few years working for the peacekeeping organisation Non-Violent Peace Force in South Sudan. He's a non-partisan, unarmed civilian peace facilitator. Is that selfish?
Yes, he should be at home with his children. And I go out to the family. My heart goes out to them. And I'm sure if they appealed for money, like the dog home appealed, I'm sure people would donate to him. But the problem here is the principle. Like I said, the situation is totally different. I mean, our government have chosen not to pay the ransom. And I think they've got very good reasons. And I still think he's selfish. He should be at home with his family.
So we should never. And do you know what? We did the show on this ages ago. Are you a little bit selfish if you join the army and you've got kids? I can kind of see it from that respect. But
no, I think army is a different thing. The army is not. It's not volunteering. People who go into the army go there and they're doing a service to the country. So
but if they've got kids and they're putting their lives at risk, you're saying that's not selfish?
No, that's not selfish. You cannot compare a soldier to a civilian as going into a situation voluntary, because soldiers follow orders.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my head around your thinking, Raz, and I'm struggling a little bit. Are you saying, then, that if there are children and refugees suffering around the world, we shouldn't go and help them at all?
No, that's not what I'm saying. They are aid organisations like the Red Cross and things like that. And
that are made up of volunteers?
Yeah. And
that are made up of people like David Haines?
If you are a volunteer, you should not have family ties. Or your family should be willing to accept the consequences.
So you're saying his wife should just shut up and say, oh, well.
Well, he should not have left his wife and children.
But he did.
I stand by that.
But okay, so you can only go and volunteer as an aid worker if you haven't got any family.
That's right.
So what? That includes obviously wife, husbands, and children. What about mums and dads and brothers?
Exactly the same.
So you shouldn't go and help refugees in war zones unless you have no family whatsoever. Your mum and dad are dead. You've got no brothers and sisters and no kids.
Or your family and you are willing to accept the consequences.
Raz, thank you very much indeed. So only orphans with no siblings, no spouses and no children can go and do aid work. I kind of get some of what Raz was saying. I kind of get some of it. If you've got kids, should you be putting your life at risk? Well, then you could argue the same thing about other potentially dangerous jobs. If you've got kids, should you be, in the army? Should you be a copper? Should you be... I'm trying to think of some dangerous jobs and I'm failing. But do you see what I mean? I'm going to let you comment. I'm trying to get my head around Raz's head, and I'm struggling a little bit. Maybe you can do it better than me. 03453 009956. I think we have to applaud, don't we? The bravery, the selflessness of aid workers that go to war zones, that go to countries to help people who are struggling, who are less fortunate than us. James is in Quinton. Morning, James.
Morning, Lee. Yeah. I've been listening to what you've been saying, and I agree with a couple of your callers who said we shouldn't make a payment. Although I feel really sorry for the families whose families are out there, and being kidnapped. I think it does send out the message that if we pay, then that money could be used, like the one said, to buy weapons and that. But also, I think what we should do, I just hope they don't kill him, but inevitably, if they do, then what we should do is have a media campaign around the world and show the good that these volunteers have done and the ones that they've killed, and actually hope that it just turns people's minds and those who are funding these terrorist groups to not fund them.
What do you think about what Raz was saying, James, that people like David Haynes are selfish?
They're not selfish. If anything, they're more stronger than me and you. A volunteer knows what they're going into. They know what can happen. But how can that be selfish? That's not selfish at all. That's actually prepared to give your life for someone else and to help someone else know in the situation what you could step into. I can't see that as being selfish at all.
Can I ask you one question? Again, this is another little tangent, but this has been on my mind for the last few weeks, right? You know that those horrible videos have been posted of the various people who've been beheaded? Yeah. Have you ever watched one?
No, I don't watch anything like that.
This is my thing. I have no interest in seeing that at all, OK? I have no interest in seeing the suggestion of someone being beheaded is horrific enough. Yet loads of people watch it. And someone posted it on a Facebook page of a friend the other day, and I just kind of think, why on earth would anybody click on the link to see something like that?
It's becoming more like entertainment now, isn't it? And I think it's totally wrong. I don't know why anyone would want to look at something like, someone being murdered. To me, there's something wrong with people who want to watch stuff like that. There's something not right with them.
James, listen, thank you very much. Let's put that out there again as a little thing. I caught someone at work watching the start of one of those videos the other day of some poor American in the desert. And I said, mate, I don't want to be in the room. I don't even want to be in the same room while you're watching that. Yet people watch these videos. I don't want to dwell on it too much, because it's such a horrible image for, 5 to 10 on a Saturday morning. But if you've watched one, why? Simple as that. Jill's in Alsley. Morning, Jill.
Hello, good morning, Ian, isn't it? Hello, Ian.
Yes, hello.
I just want to say about Mr. Haynes, if Mr. Haynes was my son and he was doing voluntary work, I'm sure we would have discussed the risks in the family of what he was doing, and I'm sure he knew the risks he was taking by doing his voluntary work and going to volatile countries.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure it was discussed, but you never expect it to happen to you.
So what I'm saying is blackmail never works. And I'm afraid if they'd previously discussed this, which I'm sure they have, and he knows himself, he'd chosen to do that. And
so just leave him to it.
It's awful. It's awful.
It is awful. He's going to be beheaded.
Oh, I know what you're saying, but he knew the consequences. I'm sure he did, and he was still prepared to take the risk. So he took his life into his own hands.
He was prepared to... Well, that's not true. He was prepared to go and help refugees, probably a lot of kids who are in a war-torn area.
I think what a wonderful guy he is.
But now he's done all that good work. It's tough luck. We should leave it to
not leave him
whoever
to it
happens.
as such. That's not the right words to say. He chose the way he wanted to go. He knew what the result would be if it came to a terrible thing like this.
Yeah.
But he knew. He's obviously discussed that with his family, and I think that's the reason that the family themselves are trying to get in touch to try and raise money independently to get him out. Nothing to do with blackmail from the government.
Jill, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. We will carry on this conversation and this discussion. As well as doing the show Saturday, 9 till 12, we've just started, producer Joe and myself have just started yesterday, Fridays, 2 till 4. OK? And it's weird doing a 2-hour show with music because we got more calls than we could fit in. And one of them was Malcolm. So we said, Malcolm, give us a call Saturday morning. We'll speak to you Saturday. Malcolm, you're with me now. Morning, Malcolm.
Yeah, hello, mate. All right.
Thank you for waiting, however long you've waited for. What you got for us?
All right. It's just that what I was going to say, I don't think nobody's talking about it at all today. It was about Scotland, actually.
Ah, yes.
You see,
what would you like to say?
I just wanted to know, because I've heard from somewhere or somebody said something, that if Scotland says yes, that all the rest of us will be better off, and I want to know how.
Where have you heard that?
I don't know. It was either on the radio, in the news, on the TV, or even Alex Salmond or Nicola Sturgeon, or one of them said it. Trying to push the point a bit.
Oh, well, Salmond's got to say anything to get his... Are you bothered by the whole Scotland thing? I don't really care either way what they do.
Well, no, I'm not really, because, being a pensioner, you see, all I want to know is if, what time, because I'm always telling this government treats all of us, never mind just the Scottish, the jocks and all that, they treat us all the same, and we'll be... and they're saying how they can, they'll be better off and all that. And I thought, well, we're all in the same boat, as like what I heard George Galloway trying to tell all the kids up there the other night. That we've got food banks here and so on, and they'll be being a bit selfish and wanting to move away and leave the rest of us and all this.
So, what's your question, Malcolm? And we'll put it out to the listener.
The question is if the government, gives money to all the councils and the towns and cities up there, the same as they do here, or before cutbacks. So if they go say yes and they're not with us anymore, then where's all that money going to go? Well, it's not going to come to the rest of us, is it? They'll find something else.
Malcolm, let's put it...
be treated just the same as what we...
Thank you very much indeed. Let me condense that slightly. Malcolm wants to know, will we be better off in England if Scotland go independent? Quite a dry question, but you can answer it. I tell you what we can do. Let's decide whether we keep Scotland or let them go. Can we draw up a list of pros and cons for Scotland? What's good about Scotland and what's bad about Scotland? I'll start you off. The good list... Well, it's the cranky, isn't it? 03453 009956.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Right, it's bang on 10 o'clock. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the news from the ever-excellent Nicole Pullman.
A couple from Wolverhampton are due before magistrates within the hour, charged with murdering their baby. Brian and Precious Kandari's 9-month-old daughter Rebecca was severely malnourished and was suffering from rickets and pneumonia when she died in January. The family of the British aid worker David Haines, who's being held hostage by Islamic State fighters, have urged his captors to contact them. The militants have threatened to kill Mr Haines in response to US airstrikes in Iraq. Reporter Nick Qureshi, who's outside the Foreign Office in London, has been looking at the family statement.
In a direct appeal to Islamic State, they write, "We are the family of David Haines. We have sent messages to you to which we have not received a reply. We are asking those holding David to make contact with us. Now, note that word messages, implying they've tried to make contact more than once. The Foreign Office issuing this statement, I guess, to show the family's growing desperation.
More than £1 million has been raised for the Dogs Home in Manchester, where more than 50 animals were killed in an arson attack on Thursday night. The Just Giving page has now received donations from more than 120,000 people. It was set up by a journalist at the Manchester Evening News, Beth Ashton, who used Twitter to publicise it.
Minutes after we tweeted out the original campaign, Ricky Gervais had retweeted it to his 6 million followers, which was a real kickstarter to it, and it just went from there. It's been amazing. Everyone knows what it's like to lose a pet that they love. I think that's really captured the imagination of the public.
Meanwhile, a 15-year-old boy who was arrested on suspicion of arson has been bailed pending further inquiries. Oldbury has been renamed Goldbury for the day in honour of double gold athlete Jodie Stimpson. Jodie won gold in the individual and team triathlon events at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and today there's a civic reception in her hometown. Her father Iain told Molly Green on BBC WM this morning that Jodie will be overwhelmed.
Yeah, she is a very bubbly person anyway, and very emotional, which I dare say she gets from her mum. But it's giving Jodie a chance as well to thank people that have supported her as well.
And the weather, fine and dry today with some warm sunshine and a light breeze. This afternoon's top temperature 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. Dry this evening but with the chance of some light rain overnight and a minimum temperature of 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, rather cloudy but brightening up in the afternoon, feeling cool in the increasing breeze. And the top temperature tomorrow afternoon, 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit, the same as today. And the outlook for the following few days, cloudy with scattered showers. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Coming up, do gay footballers have a responsibility to come out? Name one. You can't, can you? There aren't any, apparently. Well, Stonewall is launching a campaign today to try and reduce homophobia in football. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll carry on talking as well about David Haynes and should Britain pay a ransom. Got some incredible texts on this. People are quite angry about Mr. Haynes, a gentleman who went to Syria to help people blighted by war. If you want to send me a text, 81333 WM is how you start it, or give me a call, 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Can I throw, if it's not too insensitive, it's not. It might be, it doesn't matter. Can I throw a little bit of light into this world of shade? I've been working on Big Brother this summer. It's one of my little part-time jobs. A hobby is to go and do bits and pieces with Big Brother. And one of the contestants in it, in fact, the winner last night was an actor called Gary Busey. Who's Gary Busey? He was in Point Break. He was in Lethal Weapon, which I've never seen. I've never seen a Lethal Weapon movie. He was also in one of my favourite films of all time that was really important to me as a kid, growing up, The Buddy Holly Story. Seen that? Flipping brilliant. When I was about 14, 15... really getting into music and kind of getting my identity evolving in music. Buddy Holly Story was a great film. I bought it again recently. I watched it. Love it. Right? And so he's been in the Big Brother house 3 or 4 weeks. And for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been carrying this Buddy Holly Story DVD in my bag and a Sharpie pen that I bought especially for Mr. Gary Busey to sign for me. Right? To write his name on it. Right? He won Big Brother last night. Right? I was all nervous and I was telling everybody in the studio, oh, I've got my DVD. Everyone knew about my DVD. I'd shown them my DVD every week and my Sharpie. Got to love a Sharpie. It's a good pen. Other pens are available, but Sharpies are probably the best. And I knew he was coming out and I carried my DVD around with me just in case I got to see him. And I did. I walked in. There was Gary Busey, star of the Buddy Holly Story, having a microphone put on him to go into the studio to talk. I pulled the DVD cover out of the case, took the lid off the Sharpie. I went up. I said, "Excuse me, Gary, would you sign my Buddy Holly Story DVD?" "No, I'm not signing that now." "Huh?" "Nah, I'm not signing that now." Crushed. I was crushed. I was crushed, Bernie. Thank you. Honestly, I was crushed, right? I built it up into such a big thing. I don't want to... I didn't cry, right? But that my eyes certainly were... They were pricked. There was a little bit of soreness in my eyes. And I felt humiliated. And I walked away crushed, right? Now, I like to call that being Al Jardined. Who's Al Jardine? Al Jardine is a Beach Boy, right? And I love the Beach Boys. I was in LA Airport once. Doesn't it sound glamorous? It's not. It's one of the worst airports in the world, right? I saw Al Jardine, one of the Beach Boys. Got nervous. I thought, right, I'm going to go and ask him for a picture. And I've got a pen. I'm going to get him to sign something. And I was really building it up, right? And I went up to him. He had his back to me. And I said, "Mr. Jardine?" And I saw his shoulders sink, his head drop. I heard an exhalation of air. And he turned round and went, "What do you want?" And I said, "I just wanted to thank you for all the music. Thanks, bye." And I walked away crushed. Two celebs have blown me out. So, over to you, dear listener. When has a celeb been rude to you, blown you out, crushed you, humiliated you? 03453 00 9956. Your stories, please, of celebrity rudeness. What have they done that's made you feel less than? 03453 00 9956. Sean's on the line. Morning, Sean.
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm recovering from last night. Ever had a celebrity be rude to you, Sean?
No, I'm not calling on that behalf, in all fairness.
Oh, OK. Well, I can still ask you as a conversational point, but if you don't wish to go there, we don't go there.
I don't even know a celebrity.
Oh. Go on then, what you got? What are you calling for?
I was going back onto this ransom thing, and there's pros and cons on both sides, so I don't want to go down that line. But the government say they're working with world banks and they're going to stream their, cut their flow of money off and everything like this. I just want to ask, how would the money get paid if they did pay it? Would they go over with a bag of cash, £1 million in a sack, or, how does it physically get paid? You're saying that ransoms get paid, and a lot of countries do it. How does it get paid?
Do you know what? That is a brilliant, brilliant question, and I wish I'd asked that to... We had Professor Michael Clark on earlier on, who knows all about this stuff. I would imagine, and I'm making this up, see how this... I don't think they turn up on a bridge with a suitcase full of £1 million and they kind of, exchange in the middle. I would suspect £1 million gets paid into someone's bank account, that then gets paid into someone else's bank account, that then gets split up and paid into... I would imagine that there is someone they are talking to who may not be in... ISIL, but knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who is, if that makes sense.
Mm. So there's still a link to who gets the money, isn't there? There's got to be a physical link that they can go down and go, OK, eventually gone from A to B to C to D to E to F, and they've got it. There's got to be an audit trail of where that money is going.
I don't like it when people phone in and there's a question that I'm literally sat here scratching my head to. Sean, you've got me stumped, actually. I don't know. You're right. There is a connection to that organisation.
Mm.
We'll put it out there.
Just one for thought. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. That's a good question, isn't it? Because you've got the image, haven't you, in films where it's they're on a bridge and they meet in the middle. There's the hostage with his hands tied behind his back, and there's a suitcase, an old brown leather suitcase with £1 million in, and they exchange. How does it work with ISIL? How on earth does that work? 03453 00 9956 is the telephone number. Instead of doing silly games on the instant messaging service, Joe, why don't you sort out a caller for me? Thank you very much indeed. Ooh. I'll get told off for that after the show. Iain... Who's this texter? Thank you very much indeed, Joe. Had to turn your station off this morning. Iain Lee baits people into discussion, then ridicules the points they try to make. Terrible, terrible DJ. Very poor effort from your station. I'm not a DJ, but thank you. I don't think I've ridiculed anyone's points today. I think we've had a thorough and robust... I am terrible, you're right. A thorough and robust conversation about this. Tom has said in regards to David Haines, he chose to go there, he didn't have to go, and we don't know if he's an undercover intelligence operation. He has been selfish and irresponsible towards his family. And Andy has emailed 2 points. Nick, I'll come to you in a second. You've just said this man lives in Perth, Scotland. So I ask, why are you expecting the UK government to pay this when the whole of Scotland is governed by their own leaders? They have the authority and money to do this, even before they have the in-out vote. He's a UK citizen, Andy, that's why. My last point is, this man deliberately put his family on one side and went into this hellhole by his own decision. He must have known the risks and consequences. Yeah... People put themselves in positions of risk and life and death every day. The fire service, anybody? So if you're saying someone in the fire service is injured or killed dealing with a fire, rescuing a baby from a burning block of flats, we shouldn't pay them or their family compensation. They knew the risks. Yeah, they knew the risks. Tough. Is that what you're saying, Andy? That's the logical conclusion to that point. 03453 009956. Nick's on the line. Morning, Nick.
Good morning, Ian. Well, as soon as I heard so many people had donated so much money towards this tragedy in Manchester, the dog home burning down, I knew that probing radio presenters like you would be asking this question, making this analogy between priorities, emotional priorities. And quite frankly, they're two different situations. You really have to go and ask the people who donated to this charity, to this tragedy back in Manchester, because they see it as two different things. The plight of this journalist, and I hope he survives.
He's an aid worker.
The aid worker, the plight of this aid worker, and indeed the plight of journalists out there who it was a journalist who was beheaded last time, wasn't it? It's solely down to basic world affairs and foreign policies of governments. Where were ISIS before we started bombing Iraq and invading Afghanistan? What's caused all this mayhem out there? It's down to foreign policy. If we're really serious about protecting these people, we should ask, what good is America doing now by relentlessly bombing again Iraq, getting rid of this ISIS, when it was all the cause of the problem in the first place?
Well, it's bombing it to protect the tens of thousands of people that are being murdered by ISIS.
Yeah, but why are they being murdered? You see, all we've done...
we can go back. Are you blaming the fact that David Haines is being held hostage? What is Tony Blair's fault?
I'm not bringing Tony Blair into it. It's foreign policy. Tony Blair was just as bad as anybody else, and the Tories supported Tony Blair when in government anyway. So that's a domestic political thing.
Okay, it's happened. It's happened though. We're in this situation. The Americans are bombing to try and protect people that have no form of protecting themselves. David Haines is possibly going to be beheaded. What do we do about that? Nothing.
Of course they're not. America are not bombing to protect anybody. America are doing exactly what they've done all along, and that is to protect US interests through oil and resources, and that is the cause of the problem.
So until
we start
that rescue mission.
Yeah.
That rescue mission to help rescue and protect the people that had climbed up that mountain, that was for oil, was it?
At the end of the day, all our whole military presence out there is for not necessarily oil, but to create a situation that solely suits Western interests. That's all there is to it. Until we start, the only way
you're prepared to phone up David Haines' wife and his 2 kids and explain that to them, are you? How does that help them? That may be true, but how does it help them?
He's just a victim of our foreign policy. Of course, I don't want him to be beheaded, but we've got to look at the big picture here. Why is it happening? Where were ISIS before? In fact, ISIS were part of the
Nick, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to David Haines and his family, isn't it? That's irrelevant. Yeah, OK. They may have been created because of what we did with the various invasions of Iraq. That may be the case. Should we pay the ransom to get him out of there?
No, we should negotiate. That is what it's all about. ISIS want to negotiate. the Iraqi government, the terrorists out there want a proper negotiation about what's caused this situation in the first place.
And should we negotiate with them?
Yes.
Nick, thank you very much indeed. Nick is suggesting we negotiate with ISIL. Thoughts, please, 03453 009956. Right, it's 10:16. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. The M5 going north has lane shut on the exit Slit Road at Junction 5. This is in the middle of the roadworks at the Droitwich exit to the A38. A vehicle has broken down. You will find delays in the area. There's still one or two restrictions around Aston Bridge, the A5127 near Dartmouth Circus. Remains shut both ways at Aston Road as inspection work continues on the bridge itself. That's because of an accident yesterday where a vehicle went into the bridge. The main Aston Expressway is open though, and traffic seems to be coping okay as you head both in and out of the city. On public transport, still possible disruption on train services through Birmingham New Street. This now because of a signalling problem in the Leamington area and heading towards Banbury on the trains, so just be mindful of that. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Hunted.
We've come through Acock's Green, we've just passed St Mary's Church.
Stealing Digbeth are over 100 years old, including the spotted dog.
Every day is a school day.
It is.
Exciting though, isn't it?
We can only go as fast as the car in front, you know, and we can only go as fast as the speed limit, obviously.
Just 10 seconds to go.
Come on!
Hunted.
3 hours, 5 clues to find one person in the West Midlands.
This Sunday morning from 9. BBC WM
95.6.
Carry on talking about... we've got 3 Mohammeds coming up. We'll talk to them in a second. 2 other things. The best and worst things about Scotland. So far, the best thing we've got is the Crankies. Really? By the end of the show, at midday, right, we will have decided whether Scotland stays or goes. We won't be doing it talking about the pound. We won't be doing it to talk about whether Scotland will be in the EU. Boring, 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 boring. We'll be asking the best and worst things and we'll be adding them up. I don't really care about Scotland either way. You know, I'll be sad if they go, but I'll be all right if they... I don't mind. But the best and the worst things about Scotland, please. So far, we've got the Crankies as one of the best. The worst thing is the Proclaimers. Oh, man alive. There we go. There we go. What else is there, really? 03453 009956. And ever had a celebrity be rude to you? Andy, who is here fiddling with my knobs this morning, tells me that Stephen Gately once shut a door in his face. How rude. How rude! When has a celebrity been rude to you? Airports are the worst place to grab celebrities. Really. They're always really grumpy at airports. Why are you grumpy? You're probably travelling first class. I was once on an aeroplane that was delayed because Fergie was drunk and being obnoxious. Not the princess, the black-eyed pea. 03453 009956. Let's shine some light in this dark shade, please. Best and worst things about Scotland and celebrities being rude to you. Now, we've got 3 Mohammeds. Let's go to Sparkhill Mohammed first. Morning, Mohammed.
Good morning, sir.
What's the best and what's the worst thing about Scotland?
I didn't phone up for that, mate. I phoned up for the hostage situation.
I know, and we'll go there in a second. But the way conversations work is you don't, when you meet your friends down for a bit of lunch or something, you don't go, OK, guys, I just want to talk about this one thing. Conversations kind of evolve, don't they? Move.
They do, but I haven't been to Scotland, mate, so I won't really know.
You've never been to Scotland?
Nah.
Why not?
Just no need to.
There's no need to go to Scotland? There's no need to go anywhere, apart from the shops, apart from Lidl.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've had no reason to go to Scotland, so hence...
But then why would we go anywhere, then? There's no reason to go anywhere, is there?
Yeah. No, honestly, I haven't been to Scotland, so I wouldn't know what's good about it, what's bad about it.
Oh, I believe... Have you never heard anything about Scotland?
No, I've heard loads of stuff about it, but...
What have you heard about it?
It's cold up there.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing, isn't it? No,
there we go. Mate. Beautiful. We've put it on the list. So far, the bad things about Scotland are the Proclaimers, and it's cold up there, isn't it?
It is.
You did it. Brilliant. Mohammed, what would you like to say?
Basically, it was about the hostage situations.
Yep.
Why does the government have to make an issue about the ransoms? Why can't they put it under the table, pay them, without the press knowing?
Because ISIS will then film a video and put it on YouTube going, thanks to your awful British government for the £1 million they just gave us.
Yeah, but then they need proof, and obviously ISIS aren't trustworthy of anything, so why believe them?
So you think we should just pay it?
Yes. I mean, why make an issue of it? Why does the government have to go to the press? Why does the press have to release, problems like this and make bigger problems out of it?
What do you mean the press releasing programmes like this? What does that mean?
I mean, if the government has to pay somebody to save somebody's life, I think the government should pay, but don't tell the press about it. So the press don't advertise it. So other firms hear about the ransom.
So are you saying we shouldn't be talking about it on BBC WM today?
Well, if it's going to save somebody's life, yes, I agree. Don't.
Mohammed, stay there. I want to bring Mohammed into the conversation. Mohammed's in Wolverhampton. Morning, Mohammed.
Hello, morning. I really don't care why he go there. What I know, he's a father of two, I think, and a husband. And I'm ready, if there is a collection, I'm ready to pay my share to release him, to bring him back home.
So you think, Mohammed, that we should pay the money as well?
We should pay because he's a fellow citizen. He's a hand of a barbaric terrorist people, and we should save his life. For me, he's more important than a dog. And I'm happy to pay my share. If it's in a collection, you let me know, I'm happy to pay.
The reference, for those who weren't listening earlier on, we had a caller who was saying that a dog's life was equal to that of a man's life, which I struggle to understand at all. Mohammed, number two, what about the argument that he was selfish for going out there and that if we give money to terrorists, they're just going to buy weapons with it?
Well, if you give him or not give him money, they got other fellow over in that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai. Those people already give them the money. So that's 1 million make no difference. At least we save someone husband life, someone father's life. That's most important.
Okay, but Mohammed 1, Mohammed 2, stay there. I want to bring Mohammed number 3 in from Edgbaston. Morning, Mohammed.
Good morning.
Do you agree with the Mohammeds?
Well, first of all, yes, I would pay the money myself, yeah. They should pay it. There's a point I would like to bring up about money, because we're all talking about, is it worth £1 million to save the man's life? Do you remember Mark Thatcher?
I do remember Mark Thatcher. You're going to tell us the story about when he got lost in the desert on a car race?
Exactly, yeah. How much did it cost for his mother to find him? The Prime Minister of the country at the time.
But he wasn't... But by spending that money... That wasn't putting other people's lives at risk, was it?
No, but we're talking money, aren't we? Is the man's life not worth the money that they used to pay for Mark Thatcher to come back home? Of course it's worth. His life is worth more.
You give £1 million to ISIL, Mohammed 3, they're going to use that to train more people and potentially kill way more people than just one guy.
Well, unfortunately, no more people will go out there, and that means that no more help will go to Syria and places like that. At the same time, when they talk about weapons, £1 million I doubt would buy a tank.
Yeah, but buy a load of stuff to make a load of bombs.
Possibly, yeah.
Mohammed 1, what do you reckon about... Mohammed 3, just hang on a second. Let me go to Mohammed number 1. Mohammed number 1, what do you think about that?
I agree with what both of them are saying. The thing is, the government should not advertise that they are paying ransom to save somebody's life. Pay the ransom.
But if they pay that ransom, Mohammed 1, that money is going to be used.
£1 million isn't going to make any difference to these terrorists.
It's going to make it's £1 million. Think of the weapons they could make.
They're funded by governments that have got billions. £1 million isn't going to make no difference to save somebody's life. Pay the money, get them out, and then control the borders so nobody gets in, nobody gets out.
Go on, who was that who wanted to come in? Was that Mohammed or Mohammed?
That's Mohammed 1.
I heard another Mohammed coming in there.
Oh, I just whispered to myself, I said, yeah, I agree with him, just close the borders, pay the money. They will get the money from somewhere, whoever's funding them in the first place, they're just out to make an example of people, and the man's life is worth something. In the Quran, we're not allowed to kill people, and these terrorists, They're animals. They're not Muslims. They're not Muslims at all. They're just masquerading as Muslims. And to call themselves Sunni Muslims more than anything is worse.
Mohammed, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. You heard the Mohammeds there. Your thoughts on that, please. Is that a record? Three together? Three Mohammeds together? I don't know. 03453 009956 is the phone number for that. I do want to get... I want to solve Scotland by the end of the show, by midday. I want the best and the worst things about Scotland, please. And also, when has a celebrity been rude to you? I was owned last night by Gary Busey, only the star of one of my favourite films, The Buddy Holly Story. I asked him to sign my DVD. No, I'm not going to sign that now. 03453 009956.
Pensnet,
Rugeley, Redditch,
Rowley Regis. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM 95.6.
Two questions. Boy, oh boy, what a quantum leap. Why don't gay footballers come out? And is it... would it be the responsible thing for them to do, to come out? Footballers across England are being encouraged to wear rainbow-coloured laces this weekend as part of an anti-homophobia in football campaign launched on Monday. Well, there are no openly gay footballers in the English and Scottish professional leagues, and the charity Stonewall says it wants to change attitudes to homosexuality in sport. Love your thoughts on this, please. 03453 009956. I'm joined by Richard Lane from Stonewall. Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
So tell me exactly what this campaign is and what you're hoping to achieve.
So what we found is, with polling that we've done, is that 7 in 10 fans, when they visit a football match, regularly hear homophobia. There are 5,000 professional male players in the game in Britain. Not a single one of those is openly gay, a statistic that kind of beggars belief. So there's clearly something going wrong in our national game. If we look at rugby, cricket, tennis, they're openly gay players and they've been welcomed and accepted. So what we want to do is we want to send a really visible message to players and fans that it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, that you will be welcomed and supported in the game regardless.
But they won't be, will they? Because you say, if there are no openly gay footballers at the moment and there is still homophobic abuse going on, they're going to be scared to come out.
Exactly, which is why we want to start changing the culture and sending a message that their straight colleagues and other straight fans won't tolerate homophobia in the game in the way that actually we've had a very positive, consistent, zero-tolerance approach to racism. We want to see the same to homophobia in the game.
Why is... I'm trying to phrase this question correctly, and I won't, so it might come out a little bit ham-fisted. But why is there still such prevalent homophobia in football? Why? Because there's still racism in football. A long way has come since the 70s and 80s, of course, but it's still there. Why is being gay still kind of almost the last taboo in football?
I think it's probably partly because we've not had any kind of openly gay role models in football, which is slightly surprising considering the culture that they would be expected to come out in. Don't think we've seen the consistent leadership from the very top of the game, from the football authorities, from the clubs, from straight players, saying we're not going to tolerate this and we will support gay fans. And I think we're getting there now. I think the FA and other organisations are starting to take this seriously and starting to do some really positive things. And we need to see that consistently across many, many years because, a player coming out is not going to be the silver bullet that solves homophobia in the game. We've got to change attitudes for that to happen first.
I don't know very much about football. Someone has tweeted me a name. I don't know if this name means anything to you. That one footballer did come out, Thomas Hitzelsberger, and he had to retire as a result.
So he came out just after he'd retired. He used to play for Villa.
Right.
He's also played for the German national team. And he said when he came out earlier this year that he didn't feel that he was able to do that while he was still playing professionally. That he waited until he retired to make that decision. And that's really sad because people perform better when they can be themselves. And the fact that he had to even use 5-10% of his power to cover who he was means that's 5-10% that wasn't focusing on the game. And that's a real waste of talent.
Why should they come out? Because we had that horrible campaign in the 80s where people were outed. Why should they? If people want to keep their sexuality, straight or gay, private, they should be allowed to do that, shouldn't they?
Absolutely, and this isn't about outing anyone. That would be absolutely wrong. Coming out is a deeply personal decision, but someone who wants to be openly gay should have the option, and they should feel that if they want to come out, that they would be supported by their club, they'd be supported by fans, and that they can live their life openly in exactly the way as anyone else.
So you've sent out rainbow-coloured laces. Do we know who's going to be wearing them? Do we know what the kind of uptake on this has been?
So we've seen some fantastic support so far. We've got the big match kicking off just after sort of 12:30 today between Man City and Arsenal. Both those teams are going to be wearing them, which is fantastic. And that's obviously the FA Cup champions and the Premier League champions, so a really, really powerful statement there. We've seen some fantastic support from clubs like Newcastle so far, so we're expecting a really great take-up today.
So stay on the line, Richard. I'm joined by Bishop David Carr, Senior Pastor at the Renewal Christian Centre in Solihull. David, you were a former football agent. You represented quite a few hundred players. What do you think about what Richard is saying?
Well, you start from the premise, don't you, that there should not be any discrimination, be it race, creed or sexuality. I was in the day where black was the big problem. I dealt with the majority of black players. And if you look at the new book, The 3 Degrees, Cyril Regis, he tells you the appalling state that they have to suffer. However, they had no option. They had to wear their colour on their skin. They didn't have any option. They were seen as black. I took the first black person to Rangers, Mark Walters, and they actually said to him in his interview, "Does black mean a problem? Because we do not know how that will get on up here." And they had about 4 or 5 people who came against him, and they banned them for life. I think where one's got to be careful, because I agree that anybody should be allowed to play sport, is that in a sense it doesn't become, let's say for instance the laces now, if a player for some reason is not homophobic but he says I just don't feel I should be wearing those laces, will the press get on him and then begin to try and make him homophobic? Whatever happens has got to be totally voluntary and must be left to the discretion of the person without connotations being brought against them because they feel they don't want to overtly fly a flag or wear laces.
Richard, it could be argued that there is a slight element of bullying in that if people don't wear these laces, it could be misinterpreted as them being homophobic, and maybe they just don't want to get involved.
I'm really glad that that point been raised, actually, because we've been completely crystal clear in everything that we've said, including in the letter that's gone to every single player, that this is entirely voluntary. We don't want clubs to make anyone do this. You know, people can have lucky laces. We don't want to interfere with their pre-game rituals that they've got. But actually, if they want to do it, they can, and they can send a visible statement that way. If they don't want to, we're still happy to work with them in other ways, and we're absolutely sure that they're still committed to tackling prejudice in the game.
David, statistically, there's got to be some footballers who are gay. It's almost a certainty. Should they make that bold step and come out?
Well, they have in nearly every other sport.
Why is football the last preserved then?
I don't know. I really do not know. I mean, we know statistically anyway, nationally, people who are gay are a very small percentage of the whole population, and there's a lot of people who are small percentages, and I don't know why that should be in football. I really do not know that. What we've got to watch is, in a sense, that it doesn't become sensationalism. That's in a sense that you're almost goading people to do what they don't want to do. I think, which you said earlier. I think we're in an environment in our nation now where there's so much publicity about homosexuality and gay rights that if a footballer doesn't feel he can do it now, there must be some reason why he doesn't want to do it.
But I suppose it's who's going to blink first, isn't it? If a gay footballer came out and then a few others came out, would that change things? Do you think, David?
In what way?
Well, in that other people would see that it's okay to come out and still play football. You know, kind of quite a butch, macho game. That it's all right to do that.
Well, you can't get more butch than rugby, can you? I mean, rugby is a far harder sport than football, and so I think there's something deeper than this. I don't think it's a case of football's a macho sport. Footballer goes down rolling an injury, and a rugby player gets up and walks off. So, which is the most macho sport, rugby or football? I think there's something deeper than that.
Well, hang on, what you're saying that the gay rugby players should come out first?
Well, no, I mean, if they say people in rugby are far more prone to come out than football, the answer is why? Because you can't get more macho than rugby.
I guess it's the culture.
Sport out.
I don't know. Are there openly gay rugby players? I'm not a big sports person. Are there?
So Gareth Thomas came out, who was obviously played for Wales, made a really public statement about that.
Okay, so there are gay rugby players. I guess, Richard, it's the culture of the fans, isn't it? Listen, I work in London, I work in the media, and everyone's, you know, hey, whatever happens, happens. That's groovy, man. But the football fans, a lot of them, their heads still are stuck in the 1970s, aren't they?
I mean, I think it's lots of things. It's kind of the leadership from clubs, and it's changing attitudes amongst fans. But so far this week, we've seen a fantastic take-up from fans in support of this campaign. So I think something is changing. I think we are getting there, and I think progress is being made. But there's still some way to go. And, you know, in all of the campaigns that we do, we always come from the point of view that clubs, employers, whoever it is, should be attracting the best talent, regardless of their race, their sexual orientation. And if someone 15-year-old's growing up, realising he's got a fantastic talent for football, and also realising that he's growing up and he's gay, and decides that he doesn't want to go and play football because he feels he's not welcome because of his sexual orientation, that's a massive loss, and that's talent that's being turned off from the game, which is a shame.
It's a good point, isn't it, David?
It's interesting in football. When I did 21 years there, I became not just a marketing man with them, I became their confidant and counsellor. So I had players come to me who were thinking of suicide and extramarital affairs. I had people with racial problems. And I've got to say, in 21 years, I never had anybody come to me and say, I'm gay.
And why do you think that was?
I don't know. I just never had anybody in 21 years, and they told me some things that if I ever put in my book, then I should be shocked, because they poured the heart out to me. But I never had anyone who came and said, you know, I have a challenge with my sexuality, or I have this, or I have that thought, or I have this.
So are you saying that there were no gay footballers, or they didn't feel safe telling you?
No, I can't say there weren't any gay, because I don't know. But I'm just saying, in all the vulnerability of talking to me about their relationships, their marriages, their sex life, their finances, their colour, their creed, their religion, I never had one person in 21 years say to me, I'm struggling.
David, do you think, to just kind of sum up, do you think we need this campaign?
I think where the problem is, I'm not saying we don't need it, because we don't need any discrimination. That is the abhorrent thing. A person should never, ever be judged on any of these issues. It should be on their ability to play the game. But I think what's happening at the moment is we're hearing so much about gay rights, that I think if they don't watch it, they'll tip the scales, and they'll start getting some people start kicking back.
Richard, if you don't watch it, you're going to tip the scales and people are going to start kicking back.
I mean, this isn't about gay rights. This is just about equality and everyone being treated fairly in exactly the same way. It's clear there is a problem in the game, and we want to start fixing that, and we're excited to see how much support there is for the campaign this week.
David, would you have a problem if you were looking after a couple of players that were gay? Would you have a problem with that?
Of course I wouldn't.
Okay.
I'm a chaplain, I'm a minister, and I meet with and minister to people who are gay, and if I was a football manager, it wouldn't make any difference if he was black, gay, who was an Islamic with a Christian father. It wouldn't bother me. It would be, does he behave himself? Is he a good representation to the club? And does he play football well? And the answer is yes, then you play him.
Chaps, fascinating conversation. I appreciate your time. Last voice you heard there was the Bishop David Carr, Senior Pastor at Renewal Christian Centre in Solihull. He's a former football agent. And we also heard Richard Lane from Stonewall. So, over to you. Why don't gay footballers come out? I've only been to one football match. It was Luton versus Millwall. It was horrible. Oh, it was horrible. Didn't hear any gay chanting. Heard some racist chanting. Oh, flipping it, mate. It was horrible. I hated it. Football fans, some of them... Oh, look, Dad's probably coming in on it now. He'll tell me off. But some of them, their heads are kind of in an old-fashioned attitude. We like to think that we've moved on, and in some ways we have. But when it comes to being gay, we haven't. You got a problem with a gay footballer? Of course you haven't. Of course you haven't. Who could have a problem with a gay footballer? Nobody. So, should they come out? Why don't they? 03453 009956. Marie's in Cosley. Good morning, Marie.
Morning.
You got a problem with gay footballers?
No, I haven't got a problem with gay footballers, but I have got a problem with why do gay people have to justify their sex lives, their private lives? It's nobody's bloody business.
Because
why do they have to justify it?
I can answer that question.
Go on.
Because they still face oppression and abuse and discrimination.
Yes, and that's my other point. Then we should be tackling the people with those opinions, not the people who are the victims of those opinions. I know a lot of gay people. Some are very upfront about their private life, and some are very private. Nobody asks me, as a 50-year-old woman, whether I'm
but
gay
as a 50-year-old, I'm assuming heterosexual woman. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm making that assumption.
No, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
As a 50-year-old,
that's the whole point.
As
It's
a 50-year-old.
an assumption.
As a 50-year-old heterosexual woman, what prejudice have you experienced in your life because of your sexuality?
None. That's the whole point.
Right. And that is the whole point. Yeah, and they have. They're still
Yes,
discriminated
they have.
against.
So we should be tackling the people who are discriminating, not expecting people to come out and come out and fight their back and justify
But if
their
people
existence.
but it's kind of a chicken and egg, isn't it? If people
Yes, it
are
is.
scared to come out because of the abuse that they're going to get, then by coming out, I'm not saying this is necessarily right or wrong, but by coming out, they're kind of flicking two fingers up at the homophobes and going, do you know what? And I'm actually miming it now. You know what? We don't care. If people don't come out and stand there proud, then the abuse will continue, won't it?
Well, it will, but that's my point. Some people, like I said, some people that I know are up front and will come out and fight their battles, and other people just want to live their own private life. They shouldn't have to.
No, they shouldn't have to, but they do, don't they?
Justify myself.
No, because
but
you're not getting abuse for being a heterosexual woman.
No, I can
If
see
my
what you're
la-
saying. It is the chicken and egg thing, isn't it?
If my listen, my lads, they're 4 and 2. They're a long way off this. But if my lads came up to me, whatever age, and said, "You know what, Dad? Something to tell you, I'm gay," I would embrace them. I would kiss them. I would say, "Thank you for telling me. I wish you the very best of luck." And it would break my heart to think there are some people out there who would hate my boys just because they want to hold hands with another man.
Yes, and I feel exactly the same. But that's my point. It's up to the general, normal, sane members of the public to think like that, to get rid of the numpties that think the other way. It shouldn't have to be for gay people to fight all of them, generally speaking. Nobody asks, like you said, and it's true, nobody asks me about my sexuality. They just presume that I'm a heterosexual woman. They don't know, but they presume that I am.
So what do you think about this campaign, then, to get footballers of whatever sexuality today to wear rainbow-coloured laces to show their support for gay players and getting rid of homophobia?
No, I think that's great. I think it should be up to everybody to do that kind of thing. But it shouldn't be, the onus shouldn't be on the actual gay person to stand up and say, well, do you know what? Everyone investigate my sex life. This is it. Some people don't want that. They just want to live their own lives in private, which they're entitled to.
Do you think, Marie, that the gays should just shut up and get on with it?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
No, I'm just asking.
No, I don't think so. No, it's the same with any campaign for anything, isn't it? Racism and everything. It's the same thing. Some people are proactive and out there and want to change things, which is great. Some people just want their own private life. I don't think the onus should always be on, I'm not going to say, well, I've said it, victims. The onus should not always be on the victim. It should be on the rest of society to make things better for everybody.
Marie, we're going to go to the travel in a second. I know you're going to... we're trying to decide today whether Scotland should stay or go. We've got a best list and a worst list. We're going to add them up at the end and see who's won. So what have you got for the best and the worst?
The best thing about... I haven't got... Oh, yes, I have. The best thing about Scotland is red air. That's a subject for another show.
OK.
And the worst thing is midges.
Is what?
Midges.
Oh, I thought you said the Bee Gees.
No.
Oh, blimey.
Midges.
Oh, they do have a lot of midges in Scotland, don't they?
Yeah, that's the only worst thing I can think of. And the best thing is red air. I haven't got another opinion.
Thank you very much, Marie. I appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much indeed. I thought you said the Bee Gees. What? All right, so we're going to decide by the end of the show at midday whether Scotland can stay or go. We're not talking about the pound. We're not talking about the EU. We're not talking about employment or any of that nonsense. It's we have got a best and a worst. Worst is winning so far, 3-2. The worst is the Proclaimers, the fact that it's cold there in it, and midges. And the best things we've got for Scotland so far are the Crankies and red hair. It's not a brilliant list, is it? 03453 009956. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you head to the M5 going north, there's lane shut on the exit slip road. A vehicle has broken down at junction 5, causing delays. This is in the middle of the roadworks section as well, the Droitwich turn, the A38. In and out of Birmingham, Aston Bridge is still shut both ways to Aston Road. This is the A5127. Inspection work continues. A vehicle hit the bridge yesterday, so they just need to check the structure and everything, although traffic cope's OK. It's looking busy through Selly Oak on the A38, the Bristol Road stretch towards towards Priory Road and towards the Belgrave interchange. So all along the A38 inbound is very congested in places this morning. Still possible disruption on cross-country services between Birmingham New Street and Oxford. This is because of a signalling issue in the Leamington area. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
On Inside Out, we go undercover to expose the pension pirates that could cost you dear.
There are numerous people who have said to me that they sometimes feel that the only way out of this misery is to commit suicide because there's no escape.
And we'll ask, is it ever too late to start a pension pot?
When it comes to pensions, the earlier you start saving, the better it is because you've got more time for your money to build up and you have to save less every month.
That's all on an Inside Out special on Monday, 7:30 on BBC One.
Oh, I'm laughing. Why am I? I'm laughing at something really inappropriate. I've just seen a text that Bernie's just sent, not that Bernie, who works here, has forwarded on to me, about the hostage situation. I'm going to read this out. Flipping heck. Flipping heck. All right, I'm going to read this out. The laughing is wholly inappropriate. It's a laugh out of shock, OK? We're talking about David Haynes, hostage. Should we pay the £1 million? Yeah, of course we should. And this text has been sent. An unnamed texter. You know the one I'm talking about, don't you, Bernie? Look, an unnamed texter. Does anybody realise that the first American hostage to be beheaded had already been taken hostage once before during his reporting? He was fortunate enough to be released. After which he said he would never go back. What did he do? He went back. In my mind, that kind of serves him right, doesn't it? Oh, you bloody reporters going to war zones to try and report the truth back to us, you selfish... Let me just read that bit again. Fella's had his head chopped off. This unnamed texter says, in my mind, that kind of serves him right, doesn't it? In my mind, you're an absolute plum. No, of course it doesn't serve him right. Flippin' heck. You can see why I was laughing out of shock. Gay footballers and the best and worst things about Scotland. Loads of you tweeting on that. I got a few texts as well. We'll do those in a second. Terry's in Coseley. Morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Best thing about Scotland, worst thing about Scotland, please.
Well, I just think it's a beautiful place. But I also think that...
Glasgow isn't?
Well, I mean, you know, parts of Birmingham, you know, I mean, parts of everywhere ain't good. But, I mean, as a whole, it's a lovely place. And I think together we stand, divided we fall. Nah. I think we should stand together as one. Nah. We're only a little island anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we should stand together. We're all Brits. We should stand together.
Well, here's a question, right? Forget the pound, forget the EU and all that nonsense, OK? If Scotland become independent, when was the last time a Brit won Wimbledon?
I've no idea.
Yeah, exactly. It was Fred Perry in, like, the 1830s or something.
Yeah.
We can't claim Murray as our own anymore.
No. Mind you, Murray was always a little bit anti-English, although,
do you know what? Yeah.
Although he lived in the suburbs of London.
Let's put him in the... Let's put him on the list of worst things about Scotland, Andy Murray. Yeah,
that wasn't what I found in for, actually.
Go on.
It was something yesterday you said, well, I was running along, you know.
Yeah.
And you said, if you've got something on your mind and you want to say it, by all means do it on my programme.
That's what this show is for.
And it was that Pistario. Once I heard that, I could not believe
the ice cream.
Ears. I mean, the guy obviously murdered the woman, even if he didn't murder her, which almost certainly he did. I mean, nobody with any with a brain goes shooting holes. I mean, I'd have shot my wife about 50 times by now when I've heard her in the toilet in the middle of the night.
What?
Or he could have shot me and got away with it. I doubt it, because you haven't got the money that Pistario got.
Who?
I can't say it. It sounds a bit rude, and I'll say it. Pistario.
Yeah, you Pistario. It's Pistorius.
Pistorius. Well, it still sounds a bit rude, doesn't it?
Pistorius.
But what I'm saying is...
Don't break it down into syllables.
That judge should have at least put him in a mental home.
He was because he was tested. He had psychiatric tests.
I don't care, and he passed.
Yeah, he passed them.
Anybody that shoots holes through the door and kills somebody passes a test. Well, whoever tests them should have their brains tested.
The thing is...
no human being with a brain does things like that.
Right. Did you watch the whole thing on the telly?
I didn't watch it all, but I watched enough to be quite disgusted by the way it worked.
Well, I know. But the judge, milady, she watched all of it. And not just on Sky, she was there.
Yeah,
so she's heard stuff that we haven't heard.
Yeah, we've heard... Good grief. You've only got to hear of a guy gets up in the middle of the night, don't even check his girlfriend's lying in bed, there isn't there, goes into the bedroom and shoots a hole through the... You don't need to hear much more than that. Orders we're listening to is very, very corrupt lawyers that have been paid a lot of money that will get you off for murder.
Well, no, hang on.
What you say, the judge is on the take. She must be.
Well, how do you know that? Where's your evidence for that?
Must be, because anybody with a brain would know that man murdered that woman.
No, the thing is, right, you've not heard all the evidence. She has. Right, and what's
heard
weird...
all the evidence.
You've not heard all the evidence, you weren't there!
He gets up in the middle of the night with a shotgun and shots through the... That's all you need to know.
I don't think it was a shotgun, was it?
Well, when I say a shotgun, I mean a gun, you know.
Well, he said so exactly. Already you've got the first... Your Honour, objection. He's got the weapon wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean...
You see, so we haven't heard all the evidence. You've heard... You have heard... You know what you've seen on Sky News, what you've heard on WM yesterday, and what you've read in the Mail or the Sun. That's it.
I don't read newspapers, babe.
You don't know all the facts. You don't know all the facts.
I do know all the facts, babe.
Tell me all the facts. Tell me all the facts that prove he murdered her. And give me the definition of murder.
If you let me get a word in, I'll tell you all the facts. A man gets up in the middle of the night with a gun. He doesn't check to see where his girlfriend is that was lying in bed beside of him, or should have been, and he goes to the toilet. He should have shouted out, "Who is there? Who's in there?" to give whoever was in there, if it was his girlfriend, time to shout back to him, "It's me, darling." He didn't. It was a set-up from start to finish.
OK, listen, we'll leave it there, but thank you for that. I do love the fact that when people talk about judgments in court cases, and we can talk slightly more freely about this because it's abroad. When people talk about judgments in court cases, the judge is on the take, the judge is crazy. Well, yeah, the judge has heard way more evidence than we've heard. He's already said he don't read the newspapers, so he's not got it from the paper. He's heard it from the headlines on BBC WM 95.6. Yes, while they may be excellent headlines, in fact, we've based the first 2 hours on the headline this morning, they're not going to give you all of the facts and all of the details. And if it couldn't be proved beyond a reasonable doubt he had done it with malicious forethought, because that's what murder is, then legally it wasn't a murder. George is in Armitage. Good morning, George.
Good morning, sir.
What have you got for us?
You're saying what's good about Scotland.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about Scotland is its people. I think they're great people.
The Scotch?
Yeah, the Scotch, yeah. I mean, I've been up there quite a few times, you know, fishing and that lot, and I've found them very good. There's only one. You've got like clowns like Alex Salmon, you know, but as hate the British, but in the majority, the Scots are good people.
But you could say that about anyone. Oh, the Americans are good people. The English are good people. Yeah, lots of them are, but there are still lots of them that are idiots. There are lots of idiotic Scotch people, aren't there?
Yeah, that's everywhere, obviously. Yeah. But, I mean, I met some very good Scotsmen when I was in the forces, you know. I mean, there's one chap in particular from Greenock, a chap named John McCallum. He was a great lad, he was, and...
Well, what did John... Because I'm not going to put the Scottish people down as a best, because they're a good and bad. But tell me about John McCullum. What did he do that was so good?
He was a good friend of mine. We was in the forces, you know, together. Before the forces, he worked in the shipyards there, you know. And, you know, he was a great lad, he was.
Well, I tell you what, listen, George, I appreciate that call. I'm not going to put the Scotch people on the best of, worst of list, because, you know, there are good and bad people everywhere you go. I'll put John McCullum down, though. He sounds like a decent bloke, didn't he? Worked in the shipyards. He was in the military. So far, it's neck and neck. We'll do the texts and the emails in a second. Neck and neck. The best things about Scotland are the crankies, red hair, it's beautiful, and John McCullum. The worst things, the Proclaimers, It's Cold, Midges and Andy Murray. 03453 009956. Derek's in Droitwich. Morning, Derek.
Morning.
What you got for us?
I was just listening when you had that professor on and the other people who come on about the hostage. And I can't believe that people would turn around and say, no, they wouldn't give the money. If that was my son, I'd give him anything. You know, and I ain't bothered where the money goes. And here's another thing. I mean, there's two questions that I'd like you to answer, because you did say the ISIS have said that they want the bombing stopped and £1 million. Well, I can't understand why, if we can get £1 million for a dog's home in 2 or 3 days, if we collected, and there's plenty of people in this country that collected £1 million, even £2 million, and said, here you are, to the government, give them that, there's a $2 million, release him. Would the government allow us to do that?
Well, they wouldn't be able to stop us doing it. The government wouldn't give them the money, but they wouldn't be able to stop us, the public, doing it. But what about the argument that more people would die as a result of that £1 million?
Well, I'm telling you, I don't think the government would make sure that we would not be able to give that £2 million.
They wouldn't be able to stop us.
Who turning round and saying, no, we shouldn't give it. If that was my son, I'd give him, I'd give him anything. You know, I wouldn't care where the £1 million come from and all that, and the political situation and whatever. And I just can't believe people, if that was their son, would they be saying the same thing?
Derek, while I've got you on, are you a football fan?
Yeah, well, no, I'm a Birmingham City supporter, so I don't think that rallies me as a football fan.
Would you be? How would you feel if some of the players in your team came out as gay? Would it bother you?
No, but I'm very naive in that respect. You know what I mean? I'm not really. I've never really gone into it, to be honest with you. I'll tell you what.
You've never gone into homosexuality?
Yeah.
You never got into it?
Yeah, I've never gone into it. I'm a bit naive, to be honest, on that way. I mean, I admit it. But if they come round, shouting at that, I can understand what that woman was saying.
Yeah.
Is if they want to shout about it, why do they want to shout about the sexuality,
Because they've suffered years. They've suffered years of oppression and discrimination.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll give you that. But they are not suffering it now. I mean, they have gay rights and whatever, and they have marches, and
they've got the vote as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they get the fairs and whatever, and everything else. But it seems to me that people want to shut. I mean, I don't go around saying I'm an heterosexual.
But that argument doesn't work, because you're not, losing out. You're not getting beaten up when you're out with your girlfriend or your wife.
Well,
you're not getting.
Guys get beat up these days. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
But even if one gets beaten up, that's too many, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah, but it's the same as heterosexuals. You might get guys beating heterosexuals. I don't know. But
Derek, listen. Go on, you got 10 seconds.
The other thing is, I was in Sutton Coldfield one night. And I was walking down, and there was these two girls, and there was not only me, there was another couple of blokes.
You got 10 seconds, Derek.
Yeah, and they grabbed hold of themselves and started kissing each other. I just carried on,
Derek, thank you very much indeed. I'm not sure what the point of that story was, apart from the fact you saw a young couple who are obviously madly and passionately in love. A man alive. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Huh?
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
There's another hour of this coming up. Your calls, please, after the latest news with Nicole Pullman.
The family of a British aid worker who's being held hostage by Islamic State fighters believed to be in Syria has urged his captors to contact them. Earlier this month, the group threatened to kill David Haines unless the United States stopped targeting them with airstrikes in Iraq. Counter-terrorism expert and hostage negotiator Will Geddes says the direct appeals to hostage takers are made for a number of reasons.
It could be appealing to the kidnappers, to their humanitarian side, to try and get them to see the humanity of the hostage that they've got. The second thing could be the lack or breakdown.
The actress Samantha Morton has said she was sexually abused as a child in care homes in Nottingham. She's told The Guardian newspaper that she reported the abuse, but nothing was done. The actress, who is 37 and has twice been nominated for an Oscar, spent much of her childhood in care in Nottingham. The Trust, which runs City Hospital in Birmingham, has apologised after a woman was left permanently scarred after a dental drill overheated. It happened when Jade Blinko, who's from Ladywood, was having her wisdom teeth removed 3 years ago. St Andrews is hosting a day in honour of the Birmingham-based BBC drama Peaky Blinders. Special flat caps with Birmingham City's emblem are going to be sold, and supporters will get to see some of the new series. Tommy Nagra, who's the head of business at BBC Birmingham, says the show's creator is also a Blue Nose.
Stephen, who happens to be a big Birmingham City fan, and Birmingham City themselves are putting on a Peaky Blinders themed afternoon for their game against Leeds this weekend, where they're turning their club bar into a version of the Garrison.
Oldbury is being renamed Goldbury for the day in honour of double gold triathlete Jodie Stimpson. Jodie won gold in the individual and team events at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. And there's a civic reception today in her hometown. Her father Iain says Jodie will be overwhelmed.
Yeah, she's a very bubbly person anyway, and very emotional, which I dare say she gets from her mum. But it's giving Jodie a chance as well to thank people that have supported her as well.
And the weather fine and dry with some warm sunshine and a light breeze. The top temperature this afternoon, 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. Dry this evening, but with the chance of some light rain overnight. And a minimum temperature of 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, rather cloudy, brightening up in the afternoon, but feeling cooler than today because of an increasing breeze tomorrow. And a high tomorrow of 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning. It's a busy show this morning. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give the phone number, we'll take a breath, and I'll go through everything. You ready? 03453 009956. Hit the button.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Sorry, Andy, to throw that at you. Andy's fiddling with my knobs this morning. There's kind of so much stuff that we've talked about. A little recap. Let me just set the stall again. And by the way, we heard about the local triathlon, who is having the whole town is coming out. Jodie Stimpson. She's going to be on the show later on. I spoke to her a bit earlier on. She's going to be on later on. What a nice young lady she is. What are we talking about? Should we pay David Haines ransom of £1 million? Yeah, of course we should. My heart is winning out over my head on this. We're also talking about gay footballers. Does it matter? Are you bothered? What's been interesting, a couple of callers have said, well, I don't know why they keep banging on about it. Why do they keep shouting about it? And I guess it's easy as white middle-class heterosexuals to kind of say that, because I've never been shouted at because of who I'm married to. I've never felt uncomfortable holding my wife or a girlfriend's hand in the street. It's different if you're gay, isn't it? So do you care if footballers are gay or not? Would it bother you? Do you think that they should be coming out? We're also asking, gosh, what else have we talked about? So much stuff. Oh, yes, what's good and what's bad about Scotland? We're going to decide within the next 55 minutes whether we want Scotland to stay or not. Let's go through this. We've got some texts here. We've got a load of calls as well. Oh, blimey, we've got so much to cram in. Michael in Hales, Owen says, good things about Scotland. Whiskey, I'm not having that. Have you ever drunk whiskey? It is horrible. The scenery and how easily we beat them at sports. OK, yeah, we'll put that down. Beat them at sports. Bad things about Scotland, Glasgow. Yeah, no, I'm not going to put that. I do quite like Glasgow. It's an odd-looking place, but I kind of quite like Glasgow. Victor says, the worst things about Scotland, the bagpipes. No, I like the bagpipes. Even though my boy asked me to buy him a set this week, which I'm not going to, I like the bagpipe. When they're played well, Rod Stewart and haggis. No, mate. No. I like a bit of haggis. I love a little bit of haggis. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Kevin's in Blockstreet. Morning, Kevin.
Yeah, good morning, Ian.
What would you like to say, sir?
Just about the football bit, about the, Ed stuck in the 70s and things.
Yeah, go on.
Regarding gay football, I mean, to be honest, I'm out season to get the album with two boys. Don't care about gay football. People are gay. It doesn't matter. It's a minority, and you're going to get minority whether you're going to wear these laces today or what. You're not going to get rid of the minority in racism or sexuality. So I disagree. And also, I think there's going to be some poor guy there, footballer, thinking, "Oh my God, why are they bringing this up again?" It could be worse for them. I'm not sure. But regarding fans and gay, I don't see that.
Do you hear any kind of gay, homophobic stuff at football games?
No, to be honest, no, I'm not. I mean, I'm 50. I'm 51 now, and I've played football, watched football, love football. No, I've not had that.
The thing is, I don't know much about football because I don't really get it or like it. But football fans, some of their chants. The one game I went to was between Luton and Millwall, who hate each other. Luton has had a problem in the past that some terrorists in this country have either come from Luton or passed through Luton, right? One of the chants from Millwall included, to the tune of "Where's Your Mama Gone?" "Where's your Taliban?" So they can be quite vicious, can't they? They can be quite cruel. And if there was a gay footballer on the pitch, there's going to be so many chants about him, aren't there?
I should imagine it. If this is going to do any good, I can't see what good it can do. It's there and it's there. So what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter. And is it highlighting something that is ridiculously, there anyway? So I don't understand why that would happen today. It's stupid.
Kevin, I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you very much. 03453 009956. Let's go to Chris first. Chris is in Walsall. Morning, Chris.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really hungry, actually. I've not had any breakfast yet, and so I'm going to stop off. Oh, this is what I'm going to have. I'm going to stop off on the way home and have a Scotch egg. Yeah. Let's put that in the list of things that are good. Scotch eggs. There we go. Beautiful. All right. How are you doing today, Chris?
Not too bad at all. I can either talk about homosexuals or releasing hostages.
We can talk about both.
OK, then. Homosexual chanting, it's very, very tired, and it only usually happens, and I think Dad can back me up on this, whenever Watford play.
Right.
Because of the chairman, Elton John.
Oh, OK, yeah, right.
And I mean, the thing is, it still comes out, no pun intended, Elton John's a homosexual, and it's
quite catchy, isn't it? It's catchy and factually correct.
Yes, it's a bit of a tired old chant, but it still comes out every time that, Watford are in town, and when Walsall used to play Watford, it used to be, that chant, bit of giggling, and then move on. I mean, in respect of, the ladies...
But supposing, hang on a second, supposing, and I know so little about football, so I can't name one, but supposing Elton John was black, right, and the chant was, Elton John is black, that wouldn't be acceptable, would it?
Well, the thing is, that kind of thing has been kind of like kicked out. It hasn't gone away completely.
Oh,
it
it's
hasn't
still
gone away
there.
completely. I mean, like anyone who's going to say that, like, you know, it's an absolute, you know, garden of delights to go to a football match, because it's still prevalent with older people. And, like, they're the kind of same people who most probably say, well, football ain't the same, it ain't got the same atmosphere, basically because they can't do chants like that anymore.
And is that a loss to football?
That's what an older football audience may actually say, whereas it doesn't matter to younger folk, because, like, all that thing has been kicked out while the younger folk have come in.
But by
there is a danger, though, that, like, if you do highlight it, younger kids might think, oh, what was all that about? And then there is the danger of nostalgia. Oh, we're going to bring back atmosphere of football.
No, there's not a danger that you're going to bring back gay chanting as out of nostalgia.
I'll tell you what, you ought to see some of the kids that do go there and laugh at some of the old chants.
But if the kids see, right, some bloke's there doing I nearly said one then. If some bloke is there doing a really nasty homophobic chant, right, and then they see them getting booted out of the ground and having their season ticket cut up, that would send them the right message, wouldn't it?
It would send them the right message if that was to kind of like happen, but it doesn't really happen. But
then don't we need to make that happen?
No, they never see people get turfed out. They never see people like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to see that happen, then, don't we? People get turfed out if they do a racist chant, don't they?
I think, like, when they say it's got to be kicked out, it has to be kicked out.
Yeah.
And it ought to be seen to be done, not a kind of like slap on the wrist, not a kind of like where the stewards are kind of like, you know, just shrugging the shoulders, going, oh, here we go again, like, you know, but, like, not doing anything about it, saying, oh, that's not part of my job. Because, like, you know, stewards only go up there because there's only certain things that they can do.
Chris, you very quickly, you wanted to talk about David Haynes, the hostage, as well.
Okay, then. Let's say that they let him go.
Yeah.
And they said, you're free to go. And then, like, they put on YouTube, thank you very much for the government, you've paid up. It's up to the government to say, oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, terrorists could say, like, yeah, it's paid up, thank you very much, and, like, it makes the government look weak. The government are having to say, no, we didn't pay up. So, like, one, the terrorists look good, two, we look bad, but it's a kind of, like, twist.
But hang on, the terrorists could do that anyway. The terrorists could post a video on YouTube or Twitter. And yeah, I checked. ISIS have got a Twitter account. They could go on there and say, by the way, just want to say thanks to David Cameron for that £1 million he sent us last night. They could do that anyway, couldn't they, Chris?
They could do that, but, like, if they let him go, I mean, like, they're asking for £1 million. How much is a Premier Division footballer?
Oh, well, there's a fellow for Man United who's earning 300 grand a week. That's 3 weeks' wages.
Well, send him over there as an exchange.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Ken's in Sheldon. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Brian. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Keith, what would you like to say?
Yeah, it's Ken.
And it's Ian.
Yeah, I know, and people from the north of border are called Scots.
Yeah, the Scotch. That's what I'm saying, the Scotch.
No, they're not Scotch, you ignoramus. They're Scots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, they're the Scotch.
No, they're not Scotch, for crying out loud. Can you hear people talk? They are
Pardon?
Scots. Yeah, don't give up your day job, all right? Or please do give up your day job, because they are Scots, they're not Scotch. And it is, okay, very, very funny to call people, Scotch and all this. But it is sort of like drags at people's nerves, especially mine.
Okay,
I come from the Kingdom of Fife, and you'll notice I say the Kingdom of Fife.
Hang on a second. Then say hello to your sister. Here's Sharon in Coventry. Morning, Sharon.
Hello.
You're from Fife
Sharon.
as well, are you?
Yeah, I'm from originally from Burnt Island.
Well, it turns out you're both Scotch, so say hello to Ken.
Hello, Ken.
Hi, how are you? I'm from Markinch, just outside in Fife.
Oh, right. Oh, well, pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. How long have you been down here?
Oh, a long time, about 30-odd years.
Yeah, me too. I came down with my father looking for work.
Uh-huh.
And does it wrangle you when people
Oh,
call
it does, because Scotch is a drink. We're Scottish or Scots.
That's right, we're Scots.
That's right,
Not-
yeah.
That's right, and when you get these Sassenachs who think it's funny and hilarious to keep calling somebody Scotch when they've been corrected,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
a bit tall, it's a bit playground.
It's a bit ignorant, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Anyway, lang may your Limerick.
Yes, same to you.
Thank you. Now, he doesn't know what the hell we're talking about now, does he?
Not really, no, I'm sure he doesn't, no.
No.
I've just come back from Fife, actually. It was lovely.
Have you?
Yeah,
Brilliant
spent
up
2
there.
days in Burnt Island, and it was lovely, really nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, lovely part of the world, isn't it?
Well, anything north of the border is beautiful as far as I'm
Very
concerned.
true. Very true.
Back to you, Ian.
Thanks very much for calling. 03453 009956. I just want to add one more thing to the worst thing about Scotch people. No sense of humour. Let's get to travel with Liz.
Thanks, Ian. The M5 going north still has delays because of that lane closure on the exit Slip Road to Junction 5. This is in the roadwork section, Junction 5 at Droitwich exit to the A38, so it's slow back onto the main carriageway on the northbound side of the M5. In Birmingham, Aston Bridge, the A5127 section remains shut both ways at Aston Road. This is near Dartmouth Circus. They're inspecting the bridge this morning because of an accident yesterday where a vehicle went into it, so they're checking the amount of structural damage there. The main A38 in and out of the city is looking fine. So you head around Curdworth, the A446 has delays. A vehicle is overturned. It looks like it's partially blocking the road near to Faraday Avenue and Marsh Lane, affecting your journey between the M42 and Hams Hall. So just be a bit careful around there. Through Selly Oak, as you head along Bristol Road, the A38, that's looking busy inbound towards Priory Road Junction and towards Edgbaston and the Belgrave interchange. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Ryman now it's Bonlahor the turn and scores! Gabby and Bonlahor.
Friend or foe will share this dream. Let rivalries return. Get behind your team.
And he scores! West Bromwich Albion go through.
You always need someone to share every moment.
Sacco! It's 3-1. Dicko and Sacco celebrating in front of thousands of friends in the South Bank.
We'll be there till the season's end. Your club is our club.
Thomas! Where's Thomas for Birmingham City?
The goal horn awaits, my football friend.
The station for commentary this season.
BBC WM
95.6.
Right, OK, so bored of the whole Scottish debate. Of course we are. Not talking about the pound, not talking about the EU, not talking about Alex Salmond or any of those plums, OK? We are drawing up a list of what is best and what is worst about Scotland. We'll go through them at the end of the show. We'll add them up, and whichever's in the lead, well, that's the decision. If it's worse, then they can go. If best wins, then they can stay. Don's in Wolverhampton. Morning, Don.
Morning.
I'm just starting to wake up now. What have you got for us?
So you don't want any more on the debate?
Well, go on, if you've got something. Of course you can. The way this show works is people can call in about whatever they want, really, and we'll just have a chat.
How is Scotland going to afford to fund all the embassies they'll need in the world? The borders, because if England comes out of the euro and they have to stay in euro, they're going to have to take all the immigrants. How are they going to fund their own driving licence centres and car tax centres? And when the oil runs out, where's their main revenue coming from? Because tourism won't carry them. Scotch whisky might make a lot of money for the Scots, but I don't think it'll be enough to keep going now. They pay.
They do make a lot of money from tourism,
yes,
and they do.
Will it carry the country?
Well, they do have other industries as well, don't they?
Yes, I understand that. Yes,
shortbread.
Yeah, but I wonder how many millions it costs to debate this with the government, etc. And when it fails for them, are they going to come crawling back cap in hand, and are we going to pay all the costs to bring them back in?
You're assuming that it's going to fail for them.
I just think it's absolutely ridiculous waste of time and a waste of money.
Well, let's go through some of it. Why would they need to have border control?
Because if we come out of Europe, which is likely,
yeah,
then they've got to have borders with England. And they've got to have controls on the borders with England.
Okay, so
we're to take all the European immigrants.
So we're assuming. Hang on,
industrialist.
There's a lot of assumptions being made there. Made there.
Yeah,
Why is it likely that we're coming out of Europe? I hadn't heard that.
Because the man in the street is more for coming out than the actual man that knows that Europe is our biggest customer. And if everybody gets a vote, then I think there won't be enough strong-minded people who know why we're in Europe to keep us there.
No, I wouldn't worry about it. We're going to stay. We'll stay in Europe. We're not coming out of Europe. Don't worry about that.
Right.
Don't listen to all the kerfuffle from Farage. He's a minority.
Nothing to do with Farage. I've made these points to my MP. He gave me a feeble reply, Mr. Paulable. I've tried to make my points to Cameron to ask the Scottish people. I've tried to debate it with my Chamber of Commerce, where I'm on the board. Nobody wants to know because it's not relevant to us. It's only relevant to the country as a whole. So this is the first chance I've had to air it a bit.
Well, Don, listen, I wouldn't worry about embassies because they can just, like, kip on Turkey's floor or something, couldn't they?
Have to, won't they?
Well, let's see. I don't think it's going to happen in the But Don, thank you very much. 03453 009956. Should we go through the best and worst so far? The best things about Scotland: the Crankies, red hair, it's beautiful. John McCullum, he was a friend of one of the callers. We beat them at sports, Scotch eggs. The worst things about the Scotch: Proclaimers, it's cold, midges, Andy Murray, bagpipes, and no sense of humour. Simon's on the line. Morning, Simon.
Hello, this is about gay footballers.
You're a what?
Gay footballers.
Are you? Well, that's very brave of you to come out.
No, I'm not.
Oh, sorry.
If they come out and they get abuse and things like that, I mean, there's no need for them to come out anyway, because it's got nothing to do with football. And football supporters are just normal people, and they're not really interested in.
When you say normal, do you mean heterosexual?
Yeah, just normal.
Normal people who don't like other blokes, yeah.
Normal men on a weekend.
Yeah, normal men who don't sleep with other men, yeah.
Just going to enjoy a football match.
Yeah.
They don't want to know about gay people, gay footballers.
Is it fair for those normal blokes who just want to go and enjoy a football match, is it fair for them to shout homophobic abuse? You're thinking about it.
Football.
Right, and that's right, exactly. And that's the argument from Stonewall. It's part of football to shout homophobic abuse, and it shouldn't be part of football, should it?
Well, why should football change just for a few people? Let them get their own football league or something like that.
A gay football league?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I would be... Listen, if there was a gay football league, I would totally be into football. Their kits would be so much better to start with.
I think you're being silly. I don't think they should have to do that, but, the football shouldn't have to change. Why are they trying to just normalise homosexuality? They're using every means necessary to try and just normalise it and put it in people's faces, and
But the thing about gay football, right? Yeah. Is I've been told there is a gay football team in Brum. But being gay is normal, though, isn't it? And it's not right that people should be abused either physically or verbally just because of who they want to sleep with. You say that homophobia is a part of football. Well, it shouldn't be, should it? It shouldn't be acceptable for 10, 20, 30,000 blokes to shout anti-gay slogans, should it?
Well, they're putting themselves in that position.
Why are they putting themselves in that position?
Because they're gay.
OK. Is it OK for racist chants at football?
It's a different thing.
No, they're putting themselves in that position because they're black.
But they got no choice about that.
OK, let's assume for a second that gay people have no choice about being gay, right?
Yeah.
Then a comparison can be drawn. But black footballers have got a choice as to whether they play football or not. And if they can't take, having bananas thrown at them and racist chants, then they shouldn't be. They should have their own black league, shouldn't they?
No, just being gay just isn't normal to most people.
Okay, well, to some people, being black isn't normal. Some people don't like black people.
Two different things.
But the comparison is true. You're right, they are different things, but the comparison is still valid because for a long, long time it was acceptable to shout the N-word at black people, to chuck bananas at them while they were playing football. Now, I'm sure you'd agree, it's great that we've moved a long way from that, isn't it?
Can two men have children? No.
Sorry?
That's not normal.
But I don't understand what that's got to do with black people. We're talking about that for the moment.
Making a comparison which isn't valid, as far as I'm concerned.
OK, so it's great we've made progress against racism, but for the gays, it's tough. They should just learn to take it.
Well, the bigger picture is that it shouldn't be normalised in people's faces, normalised. And it's on us. It's supposed to be on us. Well, it's not supposed to be on us to accept it.
So, hang on a second. OK, so the Stonewall campaign is to make homosexual acceptable in football. Are you saying that are you saying, Simon, there should be a campaign to point out these gay footballers and highlight the fact that it's not normal?
Well, when you go down the street and go to a burger chain and buy a burger, do you realise that burger chain donates to gay rights organisations? And they're trying.
I have literally no idea what you're talking about now. I'm talking about football, not talking about burgers. I'm talking about football. Should we have a campaign to get rid of gays in football?
No, because they can be there if they want to be there, but I don't think that it should be on heterosexual people to necessarily accept it.
So we shouldn't accept gay football?
If they want to be there, they can be there, but we shouldn't have to accept it as a good thing.
So it's a bad thing that they're a gay football?
Not necessarily a bad thing in itself, but it's not a good thing.
OK, stay there, Simon. I want to bring in Alan Tracy to the conversation. Morning, Alan.
Good morning.
You've joined us on an interesting point in the conversation. We were talking about this campaign from Stonewall to try and get rid of homophobia in football, and we kind of went off on a slight tangent talking about maybe Simon was suggesting maybe the gays should have their own football league. You're from Birmingham Blaze. Tell me about Birmingham Blaze.
Yep, Birmingham Blaze is a gay-friendly football team. We play in the GFSN League, which is a national league filled with gay-friendly football teams. It's the only national gay league in the world, and as I say, as Birmingham Blaze, we play in that league.
Are you any good?
Yeah, I think we're fairly good, yes.
Whereabouts are you in the league? How many other teams are there?
In the league, there's 15 teams in the league. They're split over 3 divisions, and our league actually kicks off this Sunday. So we're playing our first game. So at the moment we're top of the league, but that's just because it's alphabetical.
Hold on to that, Alan. You're top of the league. That'll do. Yes. Why do you feel the need to be in a gay-friendly football team and a league?
Well, I think it's there is a lot of homophobia out there against certainly gay people, and it's just a more friendly and relaxed environment. As I say, we are a gay-friendly football team, but we, thankfully there is people out there that are straight and are happy to come along and play for us.
Is it aggressive?
Go on, Simon. Yeah, you're speaking to Alan.
Hello, Alan. Do they go in for aggressive tackles, and is it like as normal as good as normal football?
It's as good
do they go in for aggressive tackles, and are they as good as normal football, Alan?
Well, I just want to say to Simon that people's sexuality really has got nothing to do with how they play football. We play football to a very good standard. We don't shy out of any tackles. We play against straight teams. So as I say, I think people's sexuality has got nothing to do with the quality of the football that they play.
I just think Stonewall are using it as leverage for a general campaign to make homosexuality normal, but there's some people that don't really want it.
It's just a bit disappointing that you see to make homosexuality normal. What makes it not normal? That's the question I would ask yourself. At the end of the day, it's not really a life choice.
Well, I don't want it pushed in my face. That's, you know.
But I don't think this campaign is pushing it in people's faces. I think what it's doing is raising awareness that, you know, they had to kick homophobia out of football, there was to kick racism out of football. So I think what this campaign is, it's just trying to, you know, let people see that whether you're gay, straight, transgender, bisexual, you know, that shouldn't be counted against your abilities playing football. And it's campaigns like this that I think, you know, helps open people's eyes to actually what's going on out there. And it's not something that we're pushing in people's faces. It's more to raise awareness that there is an issue out there that really in the 21st century shouldn't even exist, especially in football, which, you know, we've got kids that look up to professional football players as role models.
Role models, yeah, see, that's exactly the problem.
Why is that a problem, Simon?
Role models. They're trying to make it positive. Instead of it being not positive or not negative, they're trying to push it as a positive thing. We don't need gay role models. Just keep it, you know, behind closed doors, as it were.
And I guess this is the kind of attitude, Alan, that you're battling against.
Yes, it is, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we don't push these things in people's faces. It's all about raising, you know, awareness, and there is people like Simon out there that, you know, just can't accept that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all need to get on together. You know, there's enough bad things happening out in the world without, you know, people trying to put people down just because of their sexuality.
Simon, Alan's not going to be ramming it down your throat.
You just said role models. I mean, he's trying to push it in people. Push it as a positive.
No, what I said about role models is, you know, obviously there's people out there, you know, young kids, they look up to the football players. So, you know, if there's football players that are racist or aggressive or homophobic, then, you know, kids will pick up in that. And at the end of the day, you know, the kids are our future. So, you know,
Alan, what do you think about this campaign that Stonewall are doing to try and encourage as many players as they can this weekend to wear rainbow-coloured laces to support the eradication of homophobia in football? Is it a good idea?
I think it's a great campaign. You know, it's something that started last year. You know, Birmingham Blaze, we were actually invited along to Birmingham City's training ground yesterday to get a picture taken with some of their players that will be wearing the rainbow laces tomorrow in support of homophobia kicking out of football.
Simon was suggesting earlier on that it's great that that racist chants in football have certainly been reduced, if not completely eradicated. Yep. But if a group of blokes want to go to a football match and shout a load of gay abuse, well then, if you're gay, that's tough. You've just got to take it.
You know what? Should we take it? You know, there was the issue with racism, you know, that wasn't pleasant. You know, football clubs want to be a welcoming environment for everyone, you know, and as a homosexual, do you want to be in a crowd with people shouting homosexual chants? Is that going to make you feel comfortable? Is that going to make you want to go back and support your own club who you've grown up supporting? Then, you know, it puts people off. It should be a day out that no matter what your sexuality, your background, you should be able to enjoy it and not have fear that, you know, someone might, you know, shout some abuse at you or react in a certain way.
Alan, listen, Birmingham Blaze, if people want to find out more about it, where do they go?
Yep, you can visit the website, birminghamblazefc.com. You know, as it is, we're open to everybody. People are more than welcome to come along to training. As is, we've got our first league match tomorrow. So again, if people want to come along and support, then they're more than welcome to.
Alan, I appreciate you coming on at short notice. Thank you very much. Simon as well, thank you for your call. 03453 009956.
Darlaston,
Edgbaston,
Erdington,
Paisley,
Gornal Wood. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
I look at my watch, it's almost 25 to 12. Where has this gone? And you know what? I've got a stack of sheets here of stuff that we were going to do in the show that we never got round to doing. It's one of those shows that's kind of... I think the only thing we've done that we planned to do so far was talk about the gay footballers. And even then, that went off on a completely different tangent. We weren't expecting to speak to Alan from Birmingham Blaze. I like it when the show's like that, when you kind of throw away the notes and you just get on with where the conversation takes you. So thank you for that. Now will be an excellent time as well to remind you, as well as doing this show on Saturdays 9 till 12, producer Joe and I have also been given the keys to the building on Fridays 2 till 4 in the afternoon, not in the morning, wouldn't be doing that. Fridays 2 till 4. It's the same kind of thing. It's a little bit more relaxed, actually, isn't it? It's a little bit more laid back. I'll take my shoes off for that one. So make sure you listen. If you missed yesterday's, it's up on the iPlayer. There's a bit of music as well, man. What? Philip, stay there. I'll come to you in a second. Let's speak to Barry in Tamworth. Morning, Barry.
Morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
Yeah, the worst thing about Scotland Right, the Bay City Rollers.
Oh, baby, you know it. They were terrible. How did they ever become a phenomenon?
I don't know.
Are you smoking a cigarette?
Yeah.
Well, you're talking to me. You got a fag on?
Yeah.
Go on, take a deep drag of it. I used to be a smoker. Go on, remind me what it's like. Go on.
And also...
Can't. His lungs are gone.
How's that?
There we go, fella. Now blow it in my face. Oh,
how's that?
Not tonight, love. I'm washing my hair.
Cheap fags, though.
Yes, yeah, cheap fags, I can smell. You're a cheap man. Now, Barry, go on. What else did you want to say?
Yeah, and the best, George MacDonald Fraser.
Who's that?
The author, the Flashman, who wrote Flashman.
I don't know what that is.
George MacDonald Fraser is a Scottish author. He wrote the Flashman books. I mean, you know Tom Brown's School Days?
Yeah.
You ever read that book, Tom Brown's School Days?
No, I didn't.
Well, there was a bloke in that, one of the pupils, and he was Flashman, and he was a bully, and if you ever read one of his books, George MacDonald Fraser's books, they are out of this world. They are brilliant.
Barry, go and finish your fag in luxury. I'm going to put down George MacDonald. I can't be bothered to write the rest. I'm going to put George MacDonald. Oh, look at you, Andy, doing a little bit of research. Oh. Let's see who else we've got. Philip's in Uttoxeter. Good morning, Philip. Philip?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, boss. Yes, go on. What have you got?
Well, just picking up on your debate this morning about homosexuality and football.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much about football, but about homosexuality. I mean, I don't know what your background is with regards to your journalistic training, but
I'm not a journalist.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know how long you've been employed by the BBC, but
2.5 years.
It does drive me mad about the media when they talk about homosexuality. Let's make this perfectly clear, and I'm more than happy to be proved wrong, and I'm more than happy to supply you with my email address, and if you want to send me anything afterwards, you can.
I'm all right, but carry on.
I understand there have been numerous medical reports and a lot of money spent by very famous people, homosexual people, trying to find a medical causal link for homosexuality, as if to say people are born with it, there's a genetic thing or a genetic predisposition to being a homosexual. There has never, ever been anything proven. This is a lifestyle choice. Now, don't get me wrong.
When did you choose? When did you choose to be heterosexual?
You're made heterosexual. You don't choose it, but you're not made genetically to be gay. This is a lifestyle choice. There is no medical report ever been undertaken or that has concluded that you are born gay. What you do have. This is a lifestyle choice.
Okay, it doesn't prove that there isn't a gay. Listen, I don't know. It doesn't prove. No. Listen, the fact. Can I get a point out? The fact they haven't found a gay gene doesn't mean that there isn't a gay gene. It just means they haven't found a gay gene.
Yeah. Okay, but I disagree. The evidence, the overwhelming evidence, is that there isn't one. Not that they just haven't found one, and you don't make it any better, because what's happening is that, like, if somebody's gay, it's as if it's an acceptable thing. Like, everybody should try to aim for it.
Well, no, you've said two. You've said
You don't have people who are heterosexuals being given licence to come on and tell people about their sexuality.
The people. Hang on a minute. Let's go through this slowly because you're rambling a little bit.
No, I'm not rambling.
People who hate heterosexuals.
There is no link genetically to being gay. It's
Right.
a lifestyle choice.
Okay, let's assume your point is true.
Just like being an alcoholic can be treated, can't it?
Hello.
You don't
Sorry?
you don't have to drink yourself to death, do you?
What's alcoholism got to do
Well,
with?
alcoholism, right, is something nobody
No,
makes
mate.
you drink.
Right,
You can
okay.
stop drinking. You can stop drinking. You can stop being gay.
Philip, listen, alcoholism is something I know quite a bit about. You're talking out your backside. Alcoholism
No,
is a disease.
That's not true. Do any alcoholics ever stop drinking? Yes or no?
Yeah, but does anyone
Well, then
ever...
You can stop drinking. So I'm not
Yeah.
talking out my backside.
Philip, can I have a conversation, or are you just going to shout at me?
I'm not shouting at you.
Okay, so cancer's a lifestyle choice, is it?
No, that's a disease.
Right, but
And
does
I
anyone
think
ever get cured? Does anyone ever stop? Does anyone ever stop having cancer?
I'm not answering the question because it's childish.
No, Philip. I've played your childish game. Why don't you play my childish game? Has anyone ever stopped having cancer?
No, yeah, of course people go into remission from cancer, yeah?
Okay, so that's
Every
a choice.
day.
That's a choice.
No, it's not a choice. because
Okay,
that's
but then you can't.
Having
Philip.
a drink is a choice, isn't it?
Philip, having a drink is a choice. Whether you can then stop having. Philip.
Stop being childish.
Philip.
We're not going to get anywhere, are we? Stop
No,
being
we're not if you
childish.
keep talking, Philip. So calm
Stop
down.
being childish then.
Philip, I'm going to let you go, I think. Thank you very much. Happy to have a conversation there. Oh, Andy, I don't know what you've done. It's gone all funny in my ear. I've got a little echo going on there. Dear. I've got loads of friends who are alcoholics. I know it's a disease. I've got no idea how we got from being gay to alcoholism. Alcoholism, we'll do this one day, is a disease, OK? Yeah, you make the choice to have the first drink. Whether you can then stop having drinks after that is the disease or not. Some people can, and a significant number of people can't. But they can get help, and they can stop drinking. There is a solution. 12-step programmes, detoxes, it does work. His evidence there... Philip's evidence did not prove his point. The fact that you can't find a gay gene hasn't been found yet doesn't mean there isn't a gay gene. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I kind of err on the side that it is genetic that you're gay. And then, surprisingly, I heard Peter Tatchell a few years ago, famous gay campaigner, of course, saying that he didn't know if it was genetic or not. Can I say this with 18 minutes of the show to go? Yes, I can. Sometimes you see a young kid and you know they're going to grow up to be a gay person, don't you? Don't you? There are some young children that are obviously going to grow up to be gay men. I would suggest it's slightly more obvious in boys than it is in girls. I've certainly seen young boys where you think, you're going to be gay. That would imply genetics more than a lifestyle choice, wouldn't it? There's still an element of possibly of nurture in there. Gosh, aren't we getting heavy in the last 15 minutes of the show? There still could be an element of nurture in there, but that would imply nature. And the only reason I let Philip go there was because he wasn't prepared to listen. Philip, you're more than welcome to call back again. And people can call in about anything on this show, and if they want to come on and slag me off, if they want to come on and have the different point of view, wonderful. I love it. I think it's good sport. It's good for my to exercise my mental muscles. It's also good. I think it's good listening. But the rules are we have to listen to each other. Okay, and we have to have a conversation, and Philip wasn't prepared to do that. Philip, maybe try again next week. It's BBC WM 95.6. Stay there, Michael. I'll come to you after the travel news with Liz.
Thanks, Ian. The M5 going north still has delays. That lane remains shut on the exit Slit Road at Junction 5 and the roadworks. The Droitwich turn, the A38, a vehicle has broken down there. The M6 as you head south has a lane blocked. A car has broken down in the bottom end of the roadworks, 10A to 10. The M54 to the Wolverhampton and Walsall junction, and that's causing a little bit of congestion. In Birmingham, Aston Bridge remains shut both ways around Aston Road. This is the A5127. Near to Dartmouth Circus, it's closed for safety checks because because of an accident on yesterday afternoon, although traffic seems to be coping OK on the surrounding routes and certainly on the Aston Expressway in and out of the city. Hagley Road inbound is looking busy along the A456 towards Five Ways Island. Busy on the A38 through Selly Oak. Expect delays anyway generally throughout the day. It's the open day at the University of Birmingham in the area, so that's likely to be the reason for the extra traffic. Around Great Bar, Queslett Road is heavy at its junction with the A34. We're getting reports of a traffic problem in Tamworth as you head around Ventura Park roundabout. The A51 police are on the way to the scene. Your matchday travel sees an early kick-off in about half an hour's time. Birmingham City at home to Leeds United, so expect delays on Coventry Road round Smallheath Highway. Matchday restrictions are all already in place as well. And a little later on this afternoon, your 3 o'clock kick-off is at the Hawthorns, West Bromwich Albion versus Everton, so expect matchday restrictions and delays around there. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
A new champion for the West Midlands.
I don't think I said on the record that I was screaming, Mohammed, although I'm sure if you listen back to the tape, I was petrified, Mo.
His mission: to change the lives of many in Birmingham and the Black Country.
Jim, listen, I'm going to personally call them after the show. You got my word on this. You're not being treated fairly. They gave you their word.
A new hero for mid-mornings.
Good morning.
Now, I bet you're blushing, aren't you?
I am a bit, yeah.
This glowing eulogy about yourself.
Danny Kelly, weekdays from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
We're going to speak to a local sporting legend in a second. Eve on the text says, well, hey, you lost that argument with Philip. Sadly for you, he was composed and correct. You were very wrong. Well, no, he was composed, except he wouldn't listen to what I was saying, Eve, and he was correct in as much as he was saying what you think. Factually, completely incorrect. Hey, go and look at the World Health Organisation's description of alcoholism. It's a disease, guys. And even now I'm saying that, and I've still got no idea what that's got to do with being gay. I've got no idea. Is it Michael on next? Morning, Michael.
Morning.
What have you got for us?
Well, it's replied to the guy who's just been on, who's going on about there being no scientific proof that being gay is genetic or anything.
That was Philip, yes.
Yeah. If he says that, how can you explain gay animals? There are gay horses, there are gay bulls, gay dogs. They don't have the capacity to come up with a lifestyle choice.
Are they not influenced by like things like EastEnders or the gay pressure groups? You're saying they don't have an impact on animals?
Well, how can animals don't watch TV, so how can they be pressurised by gay groups? They are born gay, therefore, and.
You're right. Michael? I think Michael's been silenced. He's Michael, thank you. Yeah, the gay animals argument is always a good one. I'm a little bit disappointed that somehow we've ended up down the being gay isn't normal route. I thought you guys were better than that. I thought when we were going to talk about gay football and this campaign by Stonewall, I thought we'd focus more on that. Michael, sorry, you disappeared. You're back. Well, do you want to finish off your point?
Yeah, well, there is actual research that's been done that shows that in animals it is a genetic switch. So if it's a genetic switch in animals, surely it's the same in humans. We are effectively animals because more evolved, but it's genetics. It's not nurture and stuff. As you said, how does a child know he's gay? What makes a child know that they're gay? It's not a lifestyle choice, it's genetics.
Michael, I'm glad we got you back to finish that point, thank you. Yeah, I'm disappointed that we've ended up having the, hey, being gay's not normal. Being gay's normal. Being gay's not normal argument. I thought I assumed that we were starting at a slightly higher point of reference than that. So a little bit disappointing. But never mind. Now, the people of... I'm laughing because I'm winding up my team here. The people of Sandwell are preparing to honour their golden girl, Jodie Stimpson, today with a civic reception. The town of Oldbury is to be renamed Goldbury for the day. Goldbury, do you see what they've done? The 25-year-old triathlete from Oldbury took the Commonwealth Games by storm by winning 2 gold medals as well as the hearts of the nation. Well, I was lucky enough to speak to her before the show. This is what she had to say.
Good morning.
You're having a civic reception. I'm not quite sure what a civic reception means. What is that?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure myself. I think it's so unusual. I think I know that basically the whole of Sandwell have just been so supportive of the achievements of the Commonwealth, and it's just great that I get to share it with the whole of Sandwell, really, and get to share the achievement.
So you don't know what's happening? Is it like a posh lunch, or do you get to go on an open-top bus, or what have they told you you're going to be doing?
There is no top bus, but there's loads of activities happening in the morning. They've got road machine, bikes, some sort of running track that's happening, and everybody can just come and there's also like a gold bus stop that they've actually painted gold and renamed, so that's pretty amazing.
That's nuts, isn't it? That whole thing, that must be very surreal for you. How does it feel?
Oh, definitely. The whole kind of the Commonwealth Games was a bit surreal, to be honest, and then to come back and get the reception that I've had from family, friends and the whole of the area really is pretty amazing.
You won 2 gold medals. Did you ever expect... when you enter something like that, are you expecting to win, or are you doing the whole, hey, it's the taking part that counts? What's your attitude when you go in?
I wouldn't really say it's the taking part that counts when I'm going to that race. But then on the other hand, I wasn't also thinking I'm going to go and win this race. It's kind of, you try and control what you can control in the race, and I'd had the best preparation that I could expect to, really. So I was just trying to go out there and kind of put the performance on the line and give all that I'd got on the day, really, and it all came off.
Can you describe that moment you've won a gold medal? That's amazing. What does that feel like?
It's really surreal, to be honest. It was kind of, in one way, it's like a big relief that all the effort and the hard work has kind of paid off, and something that you've aimed for kind of since you've qualified is kind of all come to a head, and you've kind of achieved your goal. It's pretty amazing feeling. It's quite overwhelming. It was when I crossed the line and I could see all my family and friends in the grandstand. It was pretty brilliant.
Why triathlon? Because out of all the sports, that's one of the hardest ones. Why did you go for that?
Well, my dad taught me to swim when I was 4, and then my dad and uncle took me to my first race when I was 9. And my uncle actually did Ironman, so that's how I originally got into it. And then kind of it just went from there, really. I did my first triathlon when I was 9 and loved it from then, and just never really wanted to do anything else. You did it when you were 9? Yeah, I did my first triathlon when I was 9.
Flipping heck! You're speaking to a very lazy man, Jodie. To hear someone who's doing that kind of stuff, makes me feel very uncomfortable. And now you're getting this special celebration. So as well as the reward, the award of the 2 gold medals, and I bet your parents are proud, aren't they?
Yeah, that's such a brilliant feeling to know that Mum and Dad are proud, and they were there in the race, and they got to experience the journey with me, and then it was brilliant that they got to the actual race with me as well, and everything that goes into it. And they see everything, the good bits and the bad bits, so yeah, it's good that they get to experience it with me.
When they have friends and family come round, are they constantly doing, Jodie, go and get the gold medals, go and show Uncle Tom the gold medals? Are they doing all of that?
No, it was kind of good, really, because when I got back, all my family were, like, on the family that couldn't go up to Glasgow were all on my drive when I got home, and I came back from Glasgow, so they all got to see the gold medals at one time, and then that's it, then they've all got to see it, so they don't need to see it again.
Do you ever, I'm going to ask this question, I'm hoping the answer to this is yes, do you ever kind of like, when you're in the house on your own, just, walk around wearing the gold medals? Like when you're making yourself some toast or something?
No.
Do you not do that?
No.
We've got such a different attitude. I'd be making cups of tea and wearing the gold medals and going, oh, look, I've got gold medals.
You can kind of smile to yourself. You can smile to yourself when you think about the race, but I don't wear them.
And how are you going to take this civic reception, this day where they're naming Oldbury Goldbury? Do you kind of enjoy that aspect of it, being in the spotlight, or how do you think you'll be feeling?
I wouldn't say I enjoy being in the spotlight. It's so much easier to, be in front of people when you're racing because you're in your own little bubble. But, to be honest, I find this is the least I can do, really. I mean, it's great of Sandwell to be so supportive of me, and it's great that they get to see the medals and get to really share it with me. So I wouldn't say it's my favourite part of it, but it'll be great to go and do it today.
Well, Jodie, it's well deserved. I hope you have a cracking day, and best of luck, and hopefully you win some more gold medals in the future.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
It's Jodie Stimpson. She's won gold medals. Good for her. What a nice person. Daz and Richard Wilford, where are you at midday?
Yeah, good afternoon, Iain. We're at St Andrews. We've been putting together a list of Scottish musicians other than Lulu and the Proclaimers, being as you were talking about that earlier. Well, we've got Deacon Blue.
Yeah.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Katie Tunstall.
Paolo Nutini.
Amy MacDonald.
And, of course, Andy Stewart. Donald, where's your trousers? And the Crankies, who did have a single out their version of Fandabidozi.
Whose version was it previously? Was it the cover of the Bob Marley?
That's right. Yeah. And it was actually Fandabi Double Dozy. You want to dig that out? It was genius. How it never got a Brit Award, I don't know.
They're all on the world music shelf now. It's fine.
Anyway,
what are you doing today, Daz?
Sorry. Today on BBC WM from midday, we begin an epic 8-hour marathon of back-to-back commentaries on BBC WM. Myself and Richard, we're at St Andrews. Our first live game kicks off about 12:15. It's Birmingham City against Leeds. We've got that live on 95.6. So as soon as you join us after the news, we'll get straight into it. We'll bring you the team news. We'll hear from Lee Clark, and then full match commentary. After that, Blackpool Wolves will be live on 95.6 with Frank C and Rigo. We've got Albion Everton on DAB in the Birmingham area with Rob Gurney. Coverage as well of Walsall Preston. And then at 5:30, our hat-trick is completed of live commentaries today on FM. Villa go to Liverpool. We'll have that for you as well, and then reaction right up until 8 o'clock this evening, Iain.
Daz, Richard, thank you very much. Looking forward to that. Got another couple of minutes, though. Time to squeeze in one more call. Is it John? Hello, John.
Hello.
What have you got for us today?
Well, I originally phoned up about your use of the term Scotch for Scots people, which you seem to find immensely amusing, which, I mean, it might have been mildly amusing once, but to continually use it got tedious, to be honest, Lee.
It's annoying, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there we are. Best and worst things out of Scotland. The best thing is the Blue Nile Band. Fantastic.
Who are they? I don't know them.
Band. Oh, look them up. They are wonderful.
Okay, well sold.
Really, really superb. Worst thing is Alex Salmon. Basically, sorry, the reason I'm out of pop is I'm just walking up the hills of St Andrews. Yes.
It gets harder as we get older, doesn't it?
Oh, it gets harder every week with this team.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alex Salmon has divided the nation, basically. He's poison. Absolute poison. So that's the worst thing.
They're both on the list.
Look up the Blue Nile.
Do you know what? I might have a little look this afternoon. John, thank you very much indeed. Let's do a little tally, shall we? So, we've got the best things are the Blue Nile Band, the Crankies, Red Hair, It's Beautiful, John McCullum. We beat them at sports, Scotch eggs, George MacDonald and Lulu. It's 9 things. The worst things, Alex Salmond, the Proclaimers, It's Cold, Midges, Andy Murray, Bagpipes, No Sense of Humour, the Bay City Rollers. That's 8 things. Ladies and gentlemen, Scotland is allowed to stay part of the Union. Well done, Scotland. We're going to let you stay on side. That's scientific evidence. I'm going to send this list to David Cameron and Alex Salmond and everybody in Scotland, and that'll make it a fact. Before we go, can I just... I've just had this email from Joe in Dudley. We talked about gay footballers, and we went off on the slightly lazy tangent, I thought, of is gay bit normal and all of that kind of stuff. Joe in Dudley sent a rather interesting email. Iain, this lifestyle choice argument is mad. If it was a choice, why oh why would a person choose to have all the aggravation, rejection and sometimes ridicule that can be associated with being gay? Being gay, I accept it and I'm proud. But given a choice, I would certainly want to be heterosexual. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe in Dudley, I think, sums it all up. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Andy. Particular thanks to producer Joe. I think we got away with it again. Don't forget, back next Saturday 9 till 12, but also we've got a show on Friday afternoons 2 till 4. More of the same, really, so hopefully we'll speak to you next Friday.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 12 o'clock. I'm Nicole Pullman. The family of a British aid worker who's being held hostage by Islamic State fighters in Syria